Episode 6 of the Canon Event Pod. I'm recording from lovely Cabo in Mexico. Uh,
For you.
I'm here with my co-host and family member, Simran. How are you,
Hey
man?
man, hey Aaron, how are you? You look like
Yeah,
you're soaking up the rays, and
that's it.
I don't know, you just look like someone who hasn't been through the meat grinder of emotions that were lived on Tuesday because you were in the air and yeah, I mean, I can't even, I still almost, yeah, 3 days in, barring a hangover that was self-induced from yesterday, but I still actually am struggling to articulate what an insane
Hmm.
game that was. And even though I know you were like thousands of miles away,
Yeah, I was watching it. I was watching it. I
but
was in
you were
Houston.
there and
I
you were
was,
also living it,
yeah,
right?
I was
Yeah.
living in Houston. Yeah, so I was there watching it live, which was unreal. I was being wheeled along in a wheelchair in an airport with it streaming on my on Prime Sports. So that was amazing. But yeah, man, you know what would be really good actually is I think it would be nice to start the pod. Just give me your like day, like explain the day to me, man. Let's just let me live it through your commentary.
Yeah, it's
How did it
interesting.
go?
So, I think the day I couldn't have soaked up enough pre-game content uh than I did. I felt like I even waited on the BBC Sports app and wanted to literally watch the press conferences from on the Monday of Arteta and etc. And it was crazy. But then I think I have this habit of sort of I kind of need to switch off from it because otherwise I get too it's just too anxious. So fortunately, the work day and stuff on Tuesday for up until the minute I was planning on leaving the house kept me sufficiently sort of occupied and not really thinking about it until the minute 6 o'clock hit. And I was like, right, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get to the ground as early as I've ever gone, just to be able to experience and witness sort of what the atmosphere was going to be like, right? And I had the thought I was privileged enough to go to the Bayern game last year, and I was trying to see and compare what the feelings were and what the atmosphere was like for that game. And I think interestingly for the Bayern game, um, and that was all equally, the biggest game that we had have played in years, really, at the Emirates. Um, I think it was there was a level of it was almost giddy anticipation because we just hadn't been there for so long. Whereas this was it was still people were giddy with excitement, but there was this heavy level of it was intense. That's how I would describe it. Like even and the ground was filling up super early. People really took to the sort of the marketing content and the messages that Mikel Arteta and stuff were putting out there, which was like, get to the ground. We want to hear your support. And I'm really glad that all the Arsenal fan base really mm, came up and did that. So even half an hour before kickoff, it was filling up quite quickly, and people were there cheering on the players as even if they were as we were watching Declan Rice continuously hit shots into the top corner in his warm up. So that was just a prelude to what was going to happen. And then yeah, it was a level of intensity that I've never really experienced. Like I know you've had like more great nights at the Emirates, but this hands down was the greatest football game I have ever witnessed live. Like
Yeah.
and again, very different. I think just because of the way the game started and because of the level of opponent that we were playing against and all of the stuff that people were talking about, the aura, Mbappe, Vinny Jr., Jude Bellingham, etc. All these stars that were there on the pitch, and you know that they had their problems. They lost against Valencia and all this, but it didn't matter because you were playing Real Madrid. And the thing is, we don't have that much history. We've only got
Mm.
one amazing night with, or like arguably two amazing games.
Yeah, it's
Where
three games, right? We've
that's
only
it
played them three
competitively.
times in
Yeah,
history, and like
exactly.
if you look
Yeah,
at their kind of the games played against other teams in England, it's been like they've played quite a few games against teams like Liverpool and Chelsea and Man United, and even
yeah,
Tottenham to a certain extent, yeah,
yeah,
and
exactly,
Man
exactly.
City as well
So
in the recent years.
yeah, precisely. And so it almost felt like uncharted territory. And I guess
Mm.
maybe a moment that the Emirates has been waiting for to an extent. I think we've missed, of course, this. in 20 years of that stadium, that we haven't lifted a major trophy there. So we don't have that many
Yeah, yeah.
really positive big memories or big nights in the same way that we know of from Highbury. So I think it was, yeah, I really think people bought into it. People,
Yeah, I
it was
think a lot of
the weather was
sorry,
great.
yeah, I would say I think a lot of the just to go back to your point quickly about like the we how we felt about that game. I think the reason again is because, and I think Tim Stillman he touched on this in the Arsenal Vision podcast, is that a lot of the other big nights at the Emirates, or big moments at the Emirates, they've had a few caveats, if that makes sense. So like obviously with
Exactly.
The Barca one,
Yeah, yeah.
we didn't go through. It was
No.
great, but we didn't go through. With the Welbeck moment, we end up kind of next game, letting Marcus Rashford announce himself as a 17-year-old by scoring 2 goals against us and beating us against the worst Man United team since this Man United team. And then, our title race kind of capitulated. So, that moment wasn't fantastic. We almost had a great comeback against AC Milan. Like I remember I was at that game when we were 4-0 down in the first leg, and then we got like 3-0, and then Van Persie decided to try and chip the goalkeeper instead of just smashing it in, and then putting us a 4-4. So that, so yeah, so I think that's the reason why, right? Like we've
Yeah.
not really had it. Yeah.
No, and exactly. And even if okay, European nights aside, right? Even, you know, I've heard people speak about what are the comparable moments, and yeah, like Henri, that was his moment.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
it was still an FA Cup third round against a Championship version Leeds,
Leeds, yeah,
but it
like,
was his moment. It was
yeah,
also,
exactly. It
and
wasn't
you,
our moment.
it wasn't our moment exactly, and that's a really good way of phrasing it. It wasn't our moment, and even like being at the game, the Fulham game, when it was amazing what the fans did for Saka,
Hmm.
and but it was Saka's moment,
Yeah.
and that, yeah, and okay, and then you can look at Bournemouth, but did we
Yeah,
win the
yeah.
league as a result of it?
Bournemouth is crazy. Even
What
United when we beat them 3-2, but we don't have that moment to look back and say all
did
these
we
things
win?
led
Did we
us
win something as a
to
result of it?
that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so that is, and again, like City beating them 5-1, they deserved it, they needed it, but at the same time, as a City on the downturn,
Yeah,
they weren't
yeah.
in
And
they
again,
weren't in the we
we're not top of the league, and we're probably not going
exactly.
to win the Premier League. So yeah, and exactly. And I think obviously, I think we'll touch on this probably a bit later down the show, is that also we need to make sure that this still means something, right? So we've still got a job to do, but we need to make sure this
And
means
that's the
something.
thing, right? I think part of what lent to the atmosphere was that there was hope, expectation, uh, but not expectation to think that we needed to do. I was listening to, again, we've consumed every bit of content, haven't we?
Mm.
Since before and after,
Before and after,
and
yeah.
yeah, and Art Durosho was saying on the Handbrake Off, the Athletic podcast, he was saying, he was like, I'd happily take, if even if we were just about in the game and we had lost 1-0, I'd rather that than he would have taken that. And again, most Arsenal fans might not have, but it just shows you the spectrum of the fact that we
Yeah,
were
yeah.
being
Some
conscious of what you were
people,
coming up against.
and I think I might be wrong. I think he is quite young, to be fair. I think he's quite
Yes,
young.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I think for him, just being in the room with a
yeah,
European gargantuan giant like Real Madrid, they've won it 15 times. Like we've not even won it once. Like it's quite incredible. So I think for fans like that, because there was this narrative of like before the game, it was like, a lot of fans were quite excited, right?
yeah.
Naturally, because this is Champions League, it's quarterfinals, Real
It's
Madrid,
all
and
we've been speaking about as
yeah,
well in every pod that
exactly.
we've
And then
that we've done so far, right?
and then you've got like a few people obviously online who say kind of stuff like, act like you've been here before, and like, don't be so like, giddy. And I do understand that sort of concept, because I feel a bit like that, because I think with people like me and you, we kind of we have been here before, even though we were quite young. We watched it. We were talking about it, right? We know where we were. We were sitting when we went to the Bernabeu. We know where we were sitting when we beat Juventus 2-0 and Fabregas announced himself on the European stage. We have experienced this in our conscious football minds. So for us, we're kind of like, yeah, it's great, but let's turn down a bit. But for some people, they haven't experienced that, right? They haven't had that European night, and I think everyone really can imagine. And again, we'll talk about the game and what happened, and all the different and the result and things like that. I think what people experienced, especially those younger fans, was what the Champions League actually means. And we can talk about the Premier League, and we could talk about other competitions, and we could talk about how the Champions League kind of the group stage format's changed and that. But it shows you really the pinnacle of football, other than the World Cup final and those kind of games. we're talking about the Champions League here, right? Like you said, Vinny Jr., Bellingham, Mbappe, Saka, Declan Rice, Saliba. These are superstars. We're watching the elite of the elite play against each other and compete at the highest level. It's like watching gladiators go at it, right, at the Colosseum. That is something that people can just live through, and it's electric, you know. And I think the hairs on the back of your neck stand up whilst you're hearing the Champions League anthem, and I'm sure you'll discuss that in a second. So that's why I do understand both sides of things, of people getting really excited and really giddy and really acting like, you know, this is so great, and it's true. And so I do understand the whole concept of, even if we were to lose, we're still here. I'm not of that ilk. I'm more of like, we need to fucking win because we deserve to be here, and Real Madrid is just a name, and they're just a team in front of us in a way of what we want to achieve, because we deserve to be here, and we're going to show that to everyone. And I'm really glad that the team clearly has evolved from last year. I think last year against Bayern, they were kind of still a bit starstruck and felt, oh, we're here, like this is
Yeah,
really
and
cool.
you could see it. We as fans almost felt like arguably a little bit
This is
starstruck as well. Like,
yeah, yeah.
the fact that we were there, we just,
Wow. Yeah,
it felt like, and for the group of players, it was
yeah,
completely
yeah,
uncharted territory. Like they had
yeah,
never been through it. They never,
yeah,
a lot of them had never even played
yeah,
any Champions League football.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
it,
And it's even more impressive.
even players like Declan Rice, for example, had
Yeah,
never played
yeah,
Champions
never
League
played.
football.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's
yeah,
think, but it's even more impressive because when you compare that to someone like Luka Modric, right, who's won 6 Champions Leagues, I think, who's played countless and countless amount of Champions League quarterfinals and semi-finals. It's just another game to that guy. You know, he's done it a million times. When you're playing against players like that, it's really shit how impressive it really is, because those guys are not phased by that moment. You know, whereas it's really easy to get caught up in the adrenaline of the moment and have that kind of sap the energy from your legs, and, you know, not fulfill your destiny when it comes to doing that kind of thing. So I really, really have to give credit to the team for just realizing that, listen, at the end of the day, there's a job to be done here, and we're going to keep playing at the level that we know we can play at. Because as much as we've been really like upset with how the season's gone, and, you know, we maybe lash out a bit emotionally about our team because we're not happy with the red cards, the results, we all kind of sometimes forget we are a very, very, very good football team. Like, we are a very, very good football team. And I'm glad that the guys really showed the world, because the world was watching. You know, the world was watching.
I think that was
And
one
we,
of the first times in a long time that I've had people who were not remotely associated to Arsenal, not even would even consider themselves fans or probably fans of rival clubs, being
yeah,
like, "I lived that with you,
yeah,
and I'm legitimately happy for you,"
yeah.
because it was one of those you could compare it, even though it's not the same, but you know, I don't like
Yeah.
pause
Carry
it.
on, carry on. Yeah,
Hold
yeah,
on.
yeah, carry on. No, it's good, carry on.
Very cool. Okay. But yeah, like Liverpool, for example, um, against AC Milan in the 2005 Champions League final.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right.
Yeah, no stress, man. Might need to.
No, I did
We can.
that. I did that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Carry
you
on
can
what you're
chop.
saying, and I
You
much
can
as well.
chop it. No, it's good. It's good because I knew she would be talking in the background. That's why I should ask you a question.
I
So
forgot to be. I forgot to be here. To be fair, didn't I?
nah, it's all good. It's all good, bro. So no, what I was
We'll
saying
leave
is
it. We'll
that
leave it in there, man. You know I'm in Cabo, so.
I'm a carbo man. I'm allowed. It's a free carbo mistake. That's allowed.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, honestly, that's how I would compare it, right? You look back to that game in Istanbul, and um, you know, not a Liverpool fan, but just what they did that night was, um, yeah, legitimately unreal. Like you've never witnessed and experienced something like that, and that is just as
Yeah,
someone who loves football, right? And
yeah.
most of these people who are
This is it.
almost congratulating me over the course of the last couple of days were
Yeah,
like, that was an astonishing football match. And what we saw Arsenal do, Declan Rice do, Miles Lewis Skelly, all these players who stood up, Saka, Kiwior, even more of these unsung heroes in that game. Um, they, yeah, people couldn't help but just say, you know what, fair play. You took the game to them, and you absolutely got the result that you deserved, and that was it. It was awesome, man. Um, so yeah, how did well? I'll touch on very quickly just a little bit about the atmosphere in the pre-game. Just last thing about the atmosphere. Like, I think they did
Yeah.
a really good job with just amping it up. Already 5 minutes before kickoff, we were singing North London Forever. And then all the pyrotechnics, the light shows, the tifos and stuff like this of Henri with his arms stretched out wide. Like, it was perfect. Like, you couldn't have set up the game better and get the players in the mindset that this is a cauldron. This stadium is raucous, it's loud, it's you if you're a player and you're playing in that's your home ground and you're getting that energy, yeah, I it would have been really it would be a real shame that you would not be able to do something with that. And I think I'm super proud as a fan base that we were able to do it for them. So
Absolutely. I think you see the value as well in like for someone who always, and I mean always, arrives late. Yeah, like whether it's 10 seconds or 5 minutes, like I am late. Like
but you
I
have to because
apologize.
otherwise we don't win.
Yeah, this is it. This is a superstition thing. I'm not allowed to watch us kick off because every time I watch us kick off, we don't win.
Yeah,
Every time I don't do it, we've won. So just
it's
accept it.
it's important.
Accept it.
It's
It is what
important.
it is.
Yeah,
But it shows the value in
it's the
getting there
duty.
early. That's it. And it shows the value of getting there early, right? I think that's the most important thing because when the crowd is not kind of raucous from the beginning, it means the game. It sometimes means that I feel like it might translate to the team because the team then find it hard to kind of maybe then start up and just get up and get going. So yeah, credit to all the fans. I think we really were more than just the 11 on the pitch. I think it really was 12th man territory in terms of how the fans kind of really kind of engaged and got us going. But yeah, I think the atmosphere was fantastic. Again, I was not being there. It's hard to kind of hear it, but you even heard people like Alan Shearer and the commentary team saying they've never heard it that loud. And I've been at the Emirates when it's been loud. Like I've been there, right? I'm there all the time. There's games when I've been like, this is a cauldron, but everyone was saying that was just a bit different, man. Like, it
It
was
was
just a bit
different.
different.
Like I said to you, I'm so happy you went to Cabo, but I love that you went on holiday, man. I'm so supportive of you going away and taking a break. But it is the most extraordinary atmosphere I have ever experienced,
Yeah.
and I think we can let's get into like talking a little bit about the first half.
Yeah,
It'll be
yeah.
good to get your point of view in terms of
Mhm.
any thoughts on the team selection. I think largely it was the question of whether or not what was going to happen in the back line and if Kiwior was going to start. But
And I think it's cool actually, just to make a point actually about how recently, because I've not been going and you've been going, or like on the opposite, I've gone and you've not gone. It's nice to see perspective of your perspective from where you sit in the seat that I have up top, and me from the
yeah,
TV perspective. You get a different idea of the game and tactical
oh
view of
no,
the
it's
game, so
perfect.
it's
It
really
actually
interesting.
works
Yeah,
really nicely. Yeah, massive.
yeah,
It does because you're reviewing it from the perspective of you see different things. You
yeah,
see
yeah, yeah.
what when you're there in the ground. You see the way the shape of the team, how it
Hmm.
moves as one, some sort of like a symbiotic
And
kind
you
of
see the whole,
hive
and you see
mind.
the whole, you see the whole pitch,
And you
right?
see
You
the
see, you see,
whole
you
pitch,
see, you
especially
see
from
what
your seat,
guys.
right?
Yeah,
It's
you
like
see
a
what guys like Kiwior and Saliba are doing when we're maybe on the right wing.
exactly.
Whereas when you're watching on TV, the camera is just only on that area. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know how they're
Yeah, you
staying
don't know
close to Mbappe.
what the
And yeah,
positioning is, how they're holding the line, what does that
that's
look
it.
like,
That's it.
etc.
Yeah,
And even just things like body language and stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
Mars Lewis Skelly, 18 years old, and he's there looking at the fans before the game, and he's pumping his arms up and getting everybody revved up. And I'm just like, you know what? Wow, like
Yeah, he's not scared, man. He's
he's
fearless,
not
absolutely
scared. There's
fearless.
no fear in
Yeah,
that
and
kid.
why
And
would you be, right? Why would you when you're that good? When you're
yeah,
that good, and when you know that, listen, I'm playing at the highest level against the highest players, and I can exist here and not look out of place. There's no further level to go from, bro. Like you
yeah,
are
you,
you are taking in everything that you need to take in. You're being patient. You're understanding that you're elite. And again, we'll talk again like specifically about his performance because I think we do really need to kind of break down how amazing he was. But yeah, team selection wise, what did you think? Was it the team that you were expecting?
100%. I didn't. There was not a single surprise there, really. I think the main topic of discussion after Everton was okay. Ben White's fit. Is there an
Yeah.
opportunity that he's got some minutes in his legs? There's a lot of discourse around. A lot of people still doubting Kiwior that he can play and he can step up to it. No, I know, man. We're Kiwior fan club number one.
Kiwior
on
Hive, man. Kiwi Hive,
Kiwi
man.
Hive, man. Kiwi Hive, Canon Event Pod.
Kiwior, if you're hearing this, man, if you're watching this, yeah, we were with you from the beginning, my friend. Go back a few episodes and you'll
Yeah,
hear us talk
and he
about how elite
proved
you
it.
are, my friend.
Exactly, man. And I think so yeah, that was the only decision that could have been contentious. But
Yeah.
I'm glad Arteta stuck with him because I think it just also shows, right, like an element of if you play well
Mm.
and if and you earn the right to play as he did against Everton, and I think he had a really good game against Everton. Um, then why should you not get the opportunity to start in this game, right? And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you know what
yeah,
so one thing I like to just give Arteta credit for, because this is the thing I think about Arteta, right? We forget that he's still a very, very, very young and not inexperienced manager. That's not the word I want to use, but I just want to use kind of he's like still new to management, relatively. You've only been managing a first team football really for 5 years, right? Um, he's playing and competing against Ancelotti, who's got what 20 years of management experience, maybe something
easy,
more than that,
yeah,
like,
easy. And he's won
and
everything multiple
yeah,
times.
and I do appreciate that actually Arteta is still learning. Like he's learning every game, every season he's learning, right? And one thing I think that hopefully I think he's realized is that, and a criticism of him from some people is that sometimes when we kind of have an injury or we have like a suspension or we have like a change we need to make, he changes like two or three things just to try to make one thing like a solution to one area. Instead of just going, you know what, the left back is out, I'm just going to put another left back there. Well, the centre back
Yeah.
is out, I'm just putting another left back there. So I think it's good credit to him to say, you know what, the left centre back is out, my left centre back is just going back in. I'm not going to shift Saliba over to the left and then put Ben White as right centre back. I'm not going to, put Timber at left back and then put Ben
Because
White
if
at,
you
yeah, yeah.
and also if you think about it, right, like how many times have we seen other than in the first season that Ben White came, he hasn't played it. He hasn't played at centre half in ages.
No, no. Liverpool
Um,
was the last game, and I thought he was really good that game too. There,
in fairness to him,
um,
he was, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
But it's been a while. On top
yeah.
of that, he still doesn't, in theory, have as many minutes in his legs as he should, and I think we should
No,
be
yeah,
careful. We should be
you can
careful with him.
see, yeah, you can see
Yeah,
he's just like we know Ben White, right? Ben White when he's fit and he's firing is fantastic. Ben White when he's not physically all there, he just looks uncomfortable sometimes, and and you don't want to put him in that scenario where his attributes. I think the point I'm trying to make is I think Ben White's at his best when he's physically fit. I know it sounds stupid because you'd probably be like, oh, everyone's at their best when they're physically fit. But I think
no,
it
but
makes
certain
more of a
players
difference
are.
for him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the way he plays, right,
Yeah.
it's so that athleticism, that ability to be able to do the overlap, and he's not the fastest either, is he?
No.
So
He's okay, but he's not like sprint. He's not like, yeah, I know what you mean. He's more of a galloper than a sprinter.
exactly. So I think
Yeah.
you need to have that sort of that feeling in yourself that okay, can I
Can
make
I
those
push? Can I
yards up?
drive?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and
Can I
catch that
go and
guy
keep going? Yeah, exactly. Can I extend?
precisely.
Can I? It's
Yeah,
not it's not the. I feel like his cadence is not like a. It's not like a Saka. Saka's cadence is very. Martinelli's is very.
well, no, and
Whereas
even
Ben White's
Timbers's.
is more. Yeah. Whereas yeah, exactly. Whereas Ben White's is more
Exactly.
big step, big step,
Yeah,
big lunge, big lunge. And if your muscles are not comfortable and your knees not comfortable, you don't want to make those lunges, and you don't feel comfortable pounding on that foot and pushing forward. It's hard. So yeah, I completely
that's hard.
understand why he isn't completely fit yet. So yeah, completely right decision,
So
wasn't it?
again, so then it was a no-brainer, right? I think you have to start Kiwior. I think he's given you every reason as to why you should start him in the first place. He's playing in his natural position, which we've spoken about before.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the rest of the team sort of picks itself. I think
Yeah.
everybody. The only other question was, Marino to start, not to start. Could you have gone Trossard false nine
Yeah.
again? Maybe, but from my perspective, I think yeah, you
So,
have to have
so I
him.
have a really interesting tactical kind of thing to talk about that in a second. I think when we start discussing about like as later on in the game,
Yeah.
we'll come back to how I think him, Declan Rice, Miles Lewis Skelly, and Partey played. I think there was a very interesting like square shape that they
It was,
provided.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
They did have that square.
yeah,
It was fascinating to see, and
it's
if you
interesting, really interesting. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and it's a different way, and something that Bellingham said in his interview. So if we progress throughout the rest of the team, I think yeah, I think
pretty much as expected, right?
as expected, completely as
Yeah,
expected. But Bellingham said Odegaard didn't expect Odegaard to play where he played.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like,
yeah.
I hadn't really noticed
Noticed.
massively.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I hadn't really noticed anything massively different about where he was popping up on the
Yeah,
pitch.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But I think it was less so with him and with the ball at his feet in possession.
Yeah,
It was when it was all off the ball.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
again, I think where Arteta got it really right tactically, and hence why I think his selection was spot on. I think, and particularly when we speak about Miles, and again, um, where he got it really spot on was that he was coming up against a 4-4-2
Yeah,
when that was how Real Madrid was setting up
yeah.
With Camavinga and a 39-year-old Luka Modric
Modric. Yeah,
having to hold the midfield. So, well, why if you're Arteta, you're like, I'm gonna pack the midfield out
yeah, yeah,
with
yeah,
people who are super mobile,
yeah,
and we're gonna make sure that Jude Bellingham at left midfield is
yeah.
gonna have to do an insane amount of running to not only manage Odegaard, manage Partey,
But get the ball.
manage Timber, who's trying to come in on that side, and try and get the ball and back up
Yeah, those two.
Mendy at left back as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
because you've got Saka, who's obviously going to try and make his
Alaba, you mean? Sorry, Alaba, you mean?
Alaba. Yeah, sorry, Alaba
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
left back exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And
It's
I
so,
do feel sorry for him, man. I feel sorry for him because I'll be honest with you, Saka gave him a horrible time.
that was pathetic.
Horrible time. He absolutely just ran him ragged. Like Bellingham could not get anywhere near him, and you could
Couldn't
just
get
see
anywhere,
like
no.
there
Yeah,
was
yeah.
just again we'll talk about Saka in a second, but again about how good he was. One thing I wanted to just come back on actually because I really want to actually discuss that four and like how I thought Rice and Marino played. I really want to discuss it. I just want to ask you something. So I was obviously in the wheelchair being rolled through security, waving at everyone in the security line, which is fantastic. Um, Absolutely elite service. Got out of the airport in about 12 minutes, which is unreal. But as I was rolling through the airport, my phone asked me to go through immigration. I didn't want to show them. I was like, you know what? American immigration is like, you don't want to piss them off in it. Like, you try to
Yeah.
just be as normal as possible. I'm
Dude,
brown by the way as
they're
well.
detaining anybody and everyone left, right, and center at the
Literally,
moment, man.
literally. So like,
So
I don't want to give them an
as a
excuse,
brown
right?
man, you can
That's
you don't
it.
need
Best
you can give
behavior.
them
Best behavior. All right.
exactly
So
always
I don't
always.
want to seem like I was like distracted watching the game. So it kicked off and I was just about to go through the immigration kind of passport check. So I was like, you know what? Let me just turn this off and I'll turn it on back when I get to the next point. Just take about 30 seconds. I missed the first few minutes properly. I wasn't engaging properly. So I rewatched recently and I want to know. So apparently Kiwior had a few shaky moments at the start in the first
He
few
did.
minutes, right?
Yeah,
So
he
what
did.
actually happened?
And even Saka almost basically
Yeah,
gave
so
the
I
ball
saw
away as
that.
well.
I saw that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of very reminiscent of the Fulham game. Remember, 2 seasons
Yes.
ago, or was it last season? I think. Yeah, where he
Last
gave the ball
season.
away and we conceded.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was the crowd feeling towards the Kiwior mistake?
So it was a sharp intake of breath, like
Yeah,
uh-oh.
yeah,
But
shit.
yeah, like just exactly that shit. But I said to my main man Pete, shout out Pete,
Shout out Pete, man. Yeah,
shout out Pete, man.
miss that guy, man.
Yeah, he was like, we said to each other, we said, oh, that hopefully that is the mistake. That's the only
Yeah,
mistake that he like. If he's gonna have a
yeah,
mistake, gets it out super early doors, and
yeah,
after that, he's gonna be able to settle in, and he did.
yeah,
So yeah, I think this is the thing. If we look at territorially, where were they winning the ball? They were winning the ball almost nowhere near our final third. And even
yeah,
when that Kivior mistake happened, it was still a good distance. Now, obviously, they have people like Mbappe and Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. who can just absolutely eat that space in about 3 seconds flat. But in this instance, it was far enough away from the goal, and I think
yeah,
that's the high line that we played and the intensity and the pressure that we were putting on them throughout the entire game meant that even if we were to make a mistake, we were to lose possession, it was the likelihood of us getting punished was a lot less.
yeah.
And so yeah, there was a. I think we just clapped up. We clapped our hands and we said, right, come on, that's it. That's your mistake gone.
That's it.
You
Yeah,
from this part
because I think
onwards, and
there's a
we're gonna
couple of
keep going.
guys obviously in the team who probably felt a bit nervous, to be there, right? Like a bit nervous about
Understandable.
making
I'm
a
sure
mistake,
everybody was.
and it's
Yeah,
interesting, right? Because of the person you think would be nervous is you think it would be the 18-year-old, who's just broken into the team, and And it's a big experience for him. Actually, it was a bit more some of the experienced players. I think Odegaard was a little bit nervous. I think Saka was a bit nervous. I think Kiwior was a
Playing
bit
against,
nervous.
playing
Even
against
Saliba,
his club. Yeah, yeah,
even
Saliba,
Saliba,
he does
is
it. He does it.
losing his balance. But then it's really interesting. So then I turned on the game. I'm on the game now. I'm basically getting through relegation. I'm done, and the first thing I see is the ball gets played from, I think it was Saliba. Saliba plays it into Miles. So Miles is inverted into the center of the pitch. He gets the ball and it comes to him, and Rodrigo is pressing him from this side. Vinicius is around this side, and Mbappe is in front of him. And instead of just doing a wall pass and giving it back to Saliba, he's like, actually, you know what? I'm going
I'm
to
chatting
take
out
this
of this.
touch. Yeah, I'm going to take this touch this way, inside. And it's dangerous, man, because you lose it there. It's a 3-on-3 or 3-on-2, and it's Mbappe, Vinicius, and Rodrigo, and they're probably not going to get that wrong. But what does he do? He knocks it inside Rodrigo. Rodrigo fouls him, and at that moment, they sit there and think, yeah, we can't press this guy. Because if we
Yeah.
keep trying to press this guy, they're just going to cut us open. And I noticed that as the game progressed on, and as this first half kind of moved further and further, and I'm sure this was a kind of a sentiment, shared by the rest of the crowd in there, which is frustration more than anything, because we were just getting through the middle of them so easily. We were just passing through the middle of them so easily, right?
This is one of the things that I noticed, right? So again, testimony to the fearlessness of that of an 18-year-old who basically played only about 25 senior men games
Yeah.
ever, let alone the season. And it's something that you said. I remember you saying they tried to press him, and immediately he earned their respect, and no one tried to press him in the same way for the rest of the
Can't do it.
game.
Yeah,
Because
can't do it.
game knows game, right? Like
That's
you
it,
just
man.
like, you know
Recognize,
what,
man.
this guy can't touch him, and I'm not going
Yeah.
to.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to think differently
because
about
I'm
this.
gonna get killed, right? Like he knows I can't press him now, and if I try to press him and I jump on him too quickly, they're gonna go bop bop bop. They're gonna be inside of us, right? And they're running at a 39-year-old Modric and Camavinga, who's basically trying to foul everyone in the world, basically constantly. The
Which
referee just letting it happen.
there's different takes on Camavinga's performance beyond him getting sent off, which is excellent.
Yeah, I
I
mean
I
that was just he's annoyed, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's
no,
like
I get it. It's
whatever.
fine. It's hilarious, but it's awesome. But I actually thought he was their best. I thought he was their best player, honestly. I know Clive and stuff on Arsenal Vision was saying that they were quite disappointed in his performance, but I felt like
I was disappointed. It's interesting, right? How people see football differently, because I was quite disappointed with him. I thought he was quite poor.
I'd have to disagree. I think what he had to do, which was
Yeah,
essentially cover for a non-existent Bellingham who couldn't get into the
yeah,
game,
yeah, it's true.
cover for a 39-year-old Modric who can't run,
Yeah,
and then he has, as mentioned earlier, the Odegaard, Timber, Party, Saka sort of quartet coming at him.
yeah, it's
Uh,
true. It's true. It's true. It's very tough,
he
man.
took the ball away. He tackled Saka and Odegaard on multiple occasions on the edge of the box, and he was the one who was winning the ball back. And I mean, I don't
I
think he
think he
had
was
any.
allowed to do that though, right? I think the thing is, I think personally, he got away with about 4 fouls in the first half, which
Oh,
any one
so
of them could have been a yellow card. Like, I
in
think the
terms
referee
of
gave him a bit of rest. He gave him a bit of respite there because he could have easily been booked earlier than that.
no, I definitely agree with that. I think there was a lot of fouls that we weren't getting, and they
We
were
weren't
getting, and
getting
I
them
mean,
right.
we
But
weren't
we weren't
getting them,
getting them
man.
like
And
there was like a moment, right? I don't know if you clocked this because I'm trying to think. Like, just quickly remind me. Were you the Declan Rice free kicks we just talk about? Were they the
no,
other side for you?
they were North Bank side, so
Okay,
actually
cool.
they
So
were
you
on
okay?
our side. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh wait. So we're sitting here. It's that side of the pitch, as in away from you.
No, no, no.
Oh, so it was towards the goal we're shooting at, yeah?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah, so
cool.
it was
So
they're attacking the North Bank, and
yeah,
your seat essentially is
yeah,
it's
right
slightly
up against the
more
North Bank. Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
more closer to the North Bank than it
Then
is
the
on
clock
the
end,
other
yeah.
side. So yeah,
So
exactly.
so so I don't know if you remember this, right? So on the other side, you might not have seen this. This is the point about TV and where you're sitting, right? So this is
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
Sure.
On TV, on the other side of the pitch, right? It was a throw in to us, right? Absolutely, obviously a throw in to us, Timber, right? And they didn't give it
Ah,
to him, and
I
and
saw
he
it.
was just like, "What the hell?"
What? Why?
And then
Like why?
and then again,
Yeah, I remember.
Saka, it was another throw in to us, and they didn't give it to us. And then it went to the middle of the pitch, and then they got a soft foul. Then they got another soft foul, then I was like, cool. Then Camavinga got a foul. Okay, I was like, okay, fine. This I thought, okay, European. He's giving these easy fouls. We know
No,
what
no,
it's
I
like. Who's good,
remember
what? Yeah,
that it was a
yeah.
sequence of things of
And then the
like,
ball went to and the ball went to Odegaard,
and then
and
he got
Camavinga
fouled,
pushed him over,
and then
and
he
he
didn't
didn't
give
give
it.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was
It
like,
was insane. It was
what? I
insane.
was
No,
sitting there like,
we all went mad.
I was sitting there like, what am I watching right now? He's just bundled into him, and the referee's telling him to get up, and I'm like, this is just fucking weird. This is so. I was like, I can't let this happen. Like, I was getting so angry. Like, is this really how it's going to be? Like, I know the whole Real Madrid referees thing, like, we all laugh about it, and, but I'm watching it firsthand, and I'm like, this is bullshit, bro. Like, what's going on?
There's a lot of people and a lot of teams, particularly in Spain, who don't laugh about it, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other teams in Champions
Yeah.
League games who don't laugh about it. I mean, look at what happened to Atletico Madrid with
Atletico, yeah.
that penalty, right? But
Yeah.
and so witnessing it firsthand in the stadium, is there some level of weird bias? Absolutely. And
Yeah.
why even more, what makes this result even more necessary is because they are going to get everything and
Every,
more
yeah.
at the Bernabeu. Like they'll get
Yeah.
all of it.
It's
They'll get
so
every
obvious.
decision.
It's
And
so
it's
obvious, man.
yeah, if it was obvious at the Emirates that they were getting everything, even though of course we got 2 free kicks, but they were so blatant he could not
So
have given
blatant,
it.
obvious free kicks, bro.
Yeah,
Like, and
exactly.
referees obviously sitting there like, yeah, I don't think there's anything gonna happen here
Like
anyway.
I will get pulled up by someone then if I don't give these, you know what I mean? So
Mm.
but yes, you're right. So I think hence why we're jumping ahead a bit, but the need to be able to get that third goal, like
Yeah,
no
was
one in the
so
stadium
important.
felt secure at 2.
No way, you can't.
Still, it felt like it was
Yeah.
still not
Even
enough.
at three,
I'm
even at three, if they get one.
even at 3, if they get an early goal, it's a different game, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's something to be of course we yeah
We'll talk
but
about that in a second.
needless
Yeah.
to say, yeah, 3, the third felt necessary because of that refereeing context. You felt
Because
like
and you could felt it, man. You felt that at the game. Like,
felt it.
I'm sure every single person in that stadium already it's 0-0. You're already nervous as fuck. We started really well. Like, I thought we started fantastically. We were dominating possession. They couldn't get out. They had a few moments where I noticed they kind of extended, and you think, oh, okay, like Mbappe and Vinicius are just fucking rapid, bro. Like, you're not keeping up with those guys, you know what I mean? So you kind of just have to hope they're gonna be a bit off,
So
you
this
know?
is it,
So
right? I again, what was so fascinating, and I've never seen Mbappe live, right? But there's like when you're on the motorway and a crazy like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari pulls up next to you,
yeah,
they're gonna overtake you, and they're gonna go on the fast
yeah,
lane, and there's a sort of like graceful kind of as a car just comes up behind, like on your tail, and then just slowly just glides out from the side of you, not even slowly,
yeah.
just gracefully moves
I know
out
what
to
you
the
mean.
side of
This
you.
goes, yeah,
Yes, it's smooth.
yeah,
It is smooth. The whole movement's smooth. It kind
yeah.
of comes out from the side of you, and it just accelerates, and you have no chance of ever getting near it.
Yeah. It's like
That's
as the seconds go on, it's putting further and further and further and further away
and
from you.
yeah, and you might have even put your foot down, but
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
it
Yeah,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
That is
You're giving
exact.
everything. Yeah,
It was scary seeing Mbappe
mm,
move like that. Like
yeah,
he moves like Henri. To have
yeah.
that
Literally,
that
yeah,
it is like looking at him reborn. Just the
yeah,
way that he was able to leave Saliba and Timber in the dirt, and
yeah.
they were never going to get him.
Yeah, because he can
Never.
start from like he can because what I noticed was really quite impressive from because again I don't think Bellingham was very good, except for a few moments where I thought actually he just shows his elite quality of being able to gain away from pressure and balance and his strength and his ability to play the pass, so well. He had a great moment where he basically turned away from Odegaard on the touchline, cut inside, played a fantastic ball through, and Mbappe had that chance, right? And I was like, and I'm sure everyone thinks this when they watch Mbappe when he's so far ahead of the line. You're like, oh, that must be offside. And then you look at the replay, and he's like he started about 2 yards behind the line, and
Every single person around me would be like, "Nah, that's offside." And I was like, "He's not offside.
he's not
He's not
offside.
even,
Yeah,
he's
literally,
not
like, he's just not
offside.
offside.
He's so offside."
He's
Yeah,
starting like 2 yards behind them, and
yeah,
he's 3 yards ahead of them before the ball even gets there.
exactly.
And he's just created enough separation that he's not even worried about the defender there,
That
right?
Lamborghini
He
2 seconds ago was not in your rearview mirror, and now it is.
that's the and now it's past you,
And now it's
right? And
past
now it's
you.
in front of you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
saw this much of its, like, the left front light of it, and a
yeah.
flash
And
of color, and then
that's it.
it's
Yeah.
already ahead of me. And
And I
that's
think I
exactly what
was
it was.
and it's those moments when you really really realize this is the level that you're playing against, where you cannot
Yeah.
even be lax for a moment. And also you can't be naive to think that players like that are not going to have chances. You just have to hope that on that day, they're not on it. And we're very lucky because he could bend that in the corner. They go 1-0 up, right? And I still think we would have rallied and we would have been okay, but it would have just
It's a
kind of
different
scared
game
us
though.
to,
It's a
it
very
would have
different
scared us,
game,
right? It
right?
would have scared us to realize like, fuck, we cannot give them anything. I think when he missed that chance, it made us realize like, okay, they're going to have chances. You have to accept
Yeah,
that,
and
you
they
know?
haven't, and Arsenal this season, I don't think there haven't been that many instances and occasions where we've gone a goal down and
Yeah,
or actually we've conceded, we've been winning and then we've conceded
yeah,
and then we've had enough in the tank to go away and
go
get
and
the
get it.
other
Yeah,
goals. And a lot of teams have
yeah,
been doing the same sort of low mid block, happy to sit in. And that was
yeah,
interesting, the tactical setup from, and I think, yeah, we can wrap up the sort of the first half and talk about it because I guess there's so much to deep dive into the second. But that they were really mainly looking to hit us on the break. They weren't
yeah.
really interested. They had a bit of a period where they had the ball for a
A
bit,
little bit, a little bit.
a
But
little bit, but
I
they
think
never
that's more
looked.
of us. That's more us just doing what we do is where we kind of just rest on our low block, right? We just
And
rest
you
on our
and you
mid
need
block.
and you
Yeah,
need to, right? You can't keep that
yeah.
level
You
of
can't.
intensity
No, you
for
can't. Yeah,
30, 45 minutes. Like somewhere
yeah,
in the middle of the half, you need to take
yeah.
a break.
Because I
So,
thought we were really good, right? Like just to kind of talk more, just a little bit, because I think there was a really interesting part in the first half where I think we maybe need to touch on where I thought we were really, really good and we were getting better and better and better. I thought we were coming more and more into the game. And then I realized what we were doing, right? Is that as we all know, man, Bukayo Saka, like he is just absolutely phenomenal, man. Like that guy is in my opinion, and people will laugh. I genuinely feel like he has an argument to be the best player in the world. I honestly, genuinely feel like he has an argument to be the best player in the world. And I'm not saying from like a stats perspective, even though his stats are amazing. I'm not saying from like a, flashy perspective, but from a pure footballing efficiency and what he
that's the
does
thing.
to
He's
players,
efficient. He's so efficient
he just makes the right fucking decision every time.
every time, man.
Every time he gets the
Every
ball,
time.
they are fucking shit scared. Like they can't. It looks like he's moving in slow motion, and you don't think he's dribbling very fast. But
But he
you can't
is.
touch him. But you can't touch him. Bellingham's trying to get around. Bellingham's a colossal athlete, right? Strong, fast, great player. Just couldn't stop him. You can't stop him. Alaba's like, cool. I'm not letting you.
I know
I'm
he's
not
going to
letting.
cut inside, but
Yeah, but even then,
I can't
okay,
stop
cool.
him.
Or even then, you want to cut inside, cool, I'll just go around you and it's fine. But even then, even if you really cut outside, let's say you just block at the middle, you block in the middle, and I'm just going to show you down the line. It doesn't matter because he'll take the line and then he'll put a ball in across the box that Declan Rice has talked about how he should be there, or he'll put another one across the box where Martinelli could easily
And
score. And
that's
you
what we
just,
were doing really well, right? I think that's so it's weird, isn't it? Mbappe had that chance, and that lives in everybody's mind, right? Because you were like, oh my God, we
mm,
almost got lucky. And other than
mm,
that, they had nothing. And
nothing, no.
nothing. Whereas the amount of instances that we were getting the ball in super dangerous areas, but we just
Yeah,
weren't getting that person. And to your point, Saka's improved with his with his right foot delivery
yeah.
enormously. So you can show, to your point, you can show him the line, but he's going to
He'll
skin you
take
on
it.
the line.
He'll just take
And
it. He'll
then,
just take it.
yeah, and he'll take it.
He's like, cool. Whatever you want to show me, whatever you want to try and do, I have the solution.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and I think this is really funny. I feel like, unfortunately, there's two issues here. One, I feel like every time Odegaard got the ball, or we got the ball, and like Partey got the ball, for example, and I think Partey was very, 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 very good to be fair. And we'll talk about that a bit later. I was just constantly saying, stop delaying, just pass it to Saka because I know you're going to go there anyway. Because I think again, another point, I think Valverde did a fantastic job on Martinelli. I give him really a lot of
He
credit.
was
I
exceptional, to
thought he
be
was
honest.
exceptional. For me, he was the best player because I thought he was just great. I thought he locked it down. I thought he was fantastic. But it meant we were moving more to Saka's side. And I kept saying, listen, just keep going to Saka. Like, you're going to go there anyway. Stop delaying it. And that's what happened. You made me go around and go to him, right? But then I realized Saka's not 100% fit yet. So he can't constantly
And
keep
you could
going at
see it.
Alaba because
You
it's
could still
tiring.
see that, yeah, he was being
It's
very
tiring.
conscious
Yeah.
of, okay, you know what? I'm not going to try and take you on this time,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
give me 5 more minutes and I'll be
And
back.
yeah, exactly. And
I'll
it's just
reset
match
and I'll
fitness.
come back at
And
you.
that's when and that's why I always say, like, I'm self-proclaimed. I feel like I know a lot about football, right? And same with yourself. We've played football, we've watched football for years and years and years. And I think we do know a fair amount and we assess that. But the great thing about football is that you're always learning. You're just always learning, right? And again, it's something I learned in that game is that like, this isn't FIFA. You know, this isn't FIFA. And obviously, when I'm playing, I know. When I'm playing, I know. Like, I
Yeah.
can't just keep doing that because it's fucking tiring. But when you're watching as a fan, you just go do it again, go again. It's
No, it's
tiring.
just
It's
it's a
very,
there's
very
a level of
tiring.
fatigue, right? Like
Yeah.
it's inevitable, and also if you think about it, the way that Saka plays football is a little bit like how a cricketer, a bowler will change the way
Mm-mm.
the position of the ball in his hand to give you a
Yeah, yeah,
different an in swinger, an out swinger.
yeah.
He'll scramble it.
Yorker.
He'll do
Yeah,
a
that's it.
Yorker, whatever. And that's what you got. That's what you got to do when you're a winger and you're going one
Yeah,
on one with a fullback. You can't keep
yeah.
on doing the same thing, and that's the
Unless you're Iron
criticism.
Robin. Yeah, unless you're Iron Robin. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't.
And he's a freak of nature doing what he did, to be fair, and that's very few and far between. But
Yeah,
most every other winger
yeah,
will have to think of I've got a bag of tricks and I need to
yeah,
try something different because and that's the one criticism that we have of Martinelli sometimes is that it's
yeah.
usually the same thing, and that's why Valverde had him on lockdown because he figured it
Yeah,
out. He was
yeah,
like,
but again,
you
we
know,
learn,
yeah,
right? But
he
again, what I was
learns,
saying, what I
yeah.
was saying about the Martinelli thing again is that we're fans and we see it from a fan perspective. But every time we watch these players, we're learning about the game. And again, we talked about this in a previous pod. Is that actually the instruction for Martinelli is stay wide,
No, because
right?
he has to hold the whip. Yes,
You have to hold the
yes,
width,
yeah,
stay wide,
he has
because
the
we
whip.
need to keep that central space open for Declan Rice, for Miles, for Marino, for Odegaard. You don't want to overpack it, right? So stay wide, and also like the job he did on Rodrigo, like he basically was telling Miles, go away. Like when he gets the ball, you stay there.
That was
He's my guy. Like I'm gonna fucking
honestly,
get on him.
there were moments we were lining up and you would see Martinelli in the left back position,
Yeah,
not
yeah, because
even
he's so
not even
competitive.
doubling
He's so
up with Miles.
that's it.
He was literally left
He's
back.
like this is my and honestly, like again, we all have our criticisms of Martinelli because obviously we want more from him from a left winger perspective. But man, the credit he needs to get for just understanding the game and being so
And he has to
team over
work
self.
hard.
He's
Yeah,
so team over self, man. And like
and
you know
that's
what,
what.
I feel like I apologize because I remember we did that pod when we were like who would we sell, and it's like. I was saying it
No,
more from like a what do we do perspective of that, and you know I feel so silly, I feel so silly because that's a you don't find guys like that, man, who are so willing to sacrifice all their PR, all what they want. Because I'm sure Martinelli can go to another team, sit on the
and
fucking
become the
left
main
wing,
man.
stay there,
Yeah.
and be the main man, and just fucking score, and just get chance over chance, and it must be much
Mm.
more fun for him. But he doesn't care. He's like, no, man, I am team over self in it, and it's just, yeah, man, just big shout out to
And
Martinelli, man.
that's why Arteta rates him, right? He rates him super.
Yeah,
He rates him so highly because he knows he does exactly that. So, yeah, first half overall, it was, and from an atmosphere perspective, it's really interesting. Lots of people had loads of different perspectives of it, but it was it was intense. Again, everybody was locked in. So
mm.
it wasn't as raucous as Bayern, because Bayern
Yeah,
was we scored quickly. So
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
all of
yeah,
the tension that had been built up had somewhere to release. But
yeah, yeah,
we went through the whole half having not scored, and so the
yeah,
tension was still there.
yeah,
And
yeah,
as
yeah,
and when Real Madrid had opportunities or something, or someone made a slight mistake, or
yeah.
which no one really did, to be fair. But even if it felt like
Yeah,
a
it gets
mistake
more
could happen,
intense, right? It gets more intense
it
because you
gets
sit there and you
intense.
think,
Yeah.
you sit there and you think, oh, like we really needed to make the most of that pressure, and if we now don't score, it just feels shit, right? But then again, we move into the second half, and it didn't stop. It didn't
And
stop,
one
right?
thing I would say,
We
Arsenal were out in for the second half significantly earlier before Real Madrid.
yeah,
So I know that Arteta probably said to them, guys, you have got
carry on.
these guys. Like
Yeah, yeah,
do
yeah,
exactly what you've been doing because
yeah,
we are dominating territory. We've had
yeah.
way more touches in the box. I think in the game in total we had
It
like
was
36
36.
touches.
It was 36. Yeah, it
36
was
touches
36,
to their
36 to
13.
13. Yeah, yeah,
13, right? And so
yeah,
we were dominating and we had all the possession and we
yeah,
looked very, very dangerous every single time that we were getting the ball in the box. Even, and then of course the set pieces, they were looking a bit flappy at anyway, but obviously you have a mountain like Courtois.
yeah. 6 for 6,
So yeah,
man, crazy.
and what I loved is we were out. Real Madrid were significantly later coming out. The Arsenal boys got themselves in a huddle again. Um, it was good also that the Arsenal, um, the stadium were not showing the game on the concourses, so it forced
Okay,
everybody to
good.
finish a beer and get back out.
Get out
And
there.
I think
Yeah,
that
good.
was, yeah, super important. I think it was
Interesting.
crucial that
Interesting.
they
That
did
is
that. Yeah,
really. That's
really
really
smart
interesting. That
move.
is.
Really
Mm.
smart move because yeah, so many people do that, right? They're
You
like,
got to be
okay,
there. Yeah, yeah. I've got
I'll
to.
finish my
Yeah.
beer, whatever, and then even at the start of the game as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't have you have to go out.
People drab in.
Um,
People drab in. Right. Yeah.
yeah, because again, you're gonna have one more pint before you get yourself in.
Yeah.
Um, and so no, everybody was out. We were out. Arsenal, the team on the pitch were ready, and yeah, I think that it was an interesting start to the second half.
Yeah,
It was
because I know
more or less the
one thing I
same.
noticed, yeah, one thing I noticed is that like again, and this is when it's be quite good to touch on like why we were so good and what shape we had. I find it really interesting because what I felt I saw, and then you can tell me what you felt you saw from your perspective, is obviously Miles was inverting very nicely, playing a pivot basically with Thomas Partey,
The
substitute.
most inverting, by the way, I have seen
Yeah,
him do so
yeah, he
far.
was
Like
really central, right?
he was playing
And
a proper pivot with Party.
that's it. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
basically playing. We were basically playing dual sixes, which is great.
Yes.
And I feel like do you know what I felt like we were playing? I feel like we were playing dual sixes and slightly maybe kind of dual eights with Partey and Miles. And then I think Marino and Rice were basically playing the dual eight position as well as playing up front. I generally felt like literally those four were just shifting like this across the pitch, you know? So you see
Do you
Rice
remember?
and
Do you remember?
Marino at a certain point.
Do
Yeah.
you remember the? Do you remember the? I mentioned it to you. That I think I mentioned it was a bit of a tactical thing evolution that I'd noticed. Was it in the Fulham game or maybe it was a couple of games
Hmm.
before where I noticed? I said to you, I said Rice is actually going a lot further up the
Further
field and
forward. Yeah.
further forward, right? And I mentioned to you that it looked new that
Yeah.
Rice was
Yeah.
actually and Marino was dropping in, and then they would
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of just switch.
Swap. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
it was almost like Pistons,
They're like
right?
on Pistons, yeah,
Um,
literally,
yeah.
exactly that, man.
But now it felt slick. Now it
Yeah,
felt whereas when I first noticed it at the ground, and I was like, oh, that's new, and it didn't it they felt like sometimes they were kind of both of them were in the same space, and that didn't
yeah,
really help.
yeah,
And then you're missing a focal point, right? And I think
yeah.
we could have been we could have scored a lot more goals had we
Yeah,
had a real striker. I think we could have put the game to bed already in the first half, most likely.
yeah.
But
But then you also have to ask yourself, what striker is gonna other than let's say Kai Havertz, right? Who plays when he does that. What a striker is gonna do what Marino did, right? And I think that's another question, right? Because if you say we have
help
a
dominate the
striker,
midfield in the way that we did, which
yeah.
was the way we won the game.
Do we
Yeah,
create
you're right.
do we
Good
create
point.
and do we dominate that game if we actually have a traditional nine? Again, everyone says, oh man, if we had a fucking nine, that Saka cross goes in. Do we even create that Saka chance in that way if Marino's not there, basically occupying Camavinga and also occupying Rudiger at the same time? You know, so I think it was so interesting, man, to watch like this tactical masterclass that I was watching where we basically have these four midfielders
Yeah.
dominating this entire central part of the pitch. They're saying, "Cool, you want to try and attack us? You're not going to be able to attack us because we've got these two guys here, and they're like Miles is a dual monster. Party's not going to let you get anywhere near the ball because he's going to keep away from you. Miles is going to keep driving to the middle of you. We're passing the ball to the middle of you. Declan Rice, I feel like grew into the game in terms of confidence because I think a couple of times he had a ball where he maybe could have let it run and carried on running, but instead he kind of played it backwards. And then I was like,
Yeah.
nah, come on, man, like you trust yourself because it's only Asensio, this guy, like he can't live with you, bro. And obviously, and then we kept going more and more central. We started to realize this is where the spaces were, and then I think this is it, right? Saka gets the ball, he cuts inside, and he gets chopped down, and then we move on
And again,
to
one of those few instances that Saka used. He knew now I've got it in my legs, and
yeah,
I'm gonna drive in field.
drive in here,
And
yeah, I'm driving in here,
in my repertoire of
yeah,
tricks,
yeah.
I'm going to use this move on you now.
And do you know
And
what's
Alaba was
interesting?
trying to force him and force him and force him as far away as possible,
And he couldn't.
and he couldn't. He was
Yeah,
like,
and
you're
things
gonna have
he's
to
trying to
foul me,
force him.
man."
And this is the thing, and I think this is a really interesting thing about Saka and why he's so good and why it's amazing because I don't think you're going to find many players in the world, and I think this is why Barcelona do so well against Real Madrid as well, who actively attack the central area of Real Madrid because you've got a guy like Bellingham there, right? A lot of the time, you're not going to be able to physically go past this guy because he's going to be able to chop you down or keep you there or stop you and move you away. And even the aura around him of like 6 foot plus, strong, good on the ball, good like combative guy. I don't even want to kind of go into that space. I'm just gonna avoid it. Saka's like, I don't care, man. I've gone past you twice already this game. You can't live with me. I'm gonna go past you again. Bellingham realized I can't touch this guy, man, because as soon as I try and put body into him, he's already in front of me, and it's just he glides past him, and then that's for the second one as well. But yeah, Alaba chops him down, and then we sit there, and I have to say, man, I think we've got to take credit for this, man.
What was your feeling? Having got that free kick, what did you think? What did you think
Okay,
that we were going to do?
so this is how I felt. I was so fucking pissed off at the start of the game, but we got a free kick right at the edge of the box. It's very early. Saka got a free kick right at the edge of the box, and Odegaard took it. And I was like, I don't understand this logic. I do not understand this logic. Odegaard does not take our corners. Saka takes our corners from the left-hand side because Saka's delivery is elite, yeah? Rice takes our corners from the right-hand side because Rice's delivery is elite. Why is Odegaard taking our set piece? And it's not even trying to I'm not even having a go at the guy. It just doesn't make any logical sense why you would do this. It's like when you go on FIFA and you put your corner takers, it's like, you're just taking the piss. Like, why is Odegaard taking... If you're going to take the free kick there in the edge of the box, why are you not taking the corner then? So what you're trying to say to me is, you think you have a better delivery from closer. You don't, because you can't drop it flat like Saka. So I got so fucking annoyed at Odegaard taking that free kick because it was shit as well. And he hit the first man. So from that point, I was just vexing it. So when we got this free kick, I was sitting there and I said this at the fucking Everton game as well, maybe the Fulham game. I was like, if Odegaard takes this fucking free kick over Rice, I'm going to be pissed. Or it was like it might be the Chelsea game.
It's Chelsea game,
so when,
yeah.
I was like, this is just fucking annoying. I texted you, I was like, this is fucking just pissing me off, bro. It doesn't make any sense, yeah? So he sits there, he lines up, yeah? And I'm sitting there like, you have to let Rice hit this, man. I'm like, you have to let Rice hit this. I did not think we were going to cross it. It didn't make any sense to cross it because the angle was just not there. They're too high on the line. It doesn't make any sense. We haven't got, it just doesn't make any sense. It's there to be shot. And I'm glad that Rice made the point of kind of someone saying to him, oh, I think we should cross it. And him just saying, nah, man. Like, I spoke to Saka. Saka was like, listen, if you're feeling it, hit it. And come on, man. Like,
so I love that entire exchange, right?
Yeah.
And something that we have been a little bit critical of, and I think it's actually been spoken about a lot in the media recently, of this overcoaching of football to the extent of which the spontaneity and there is an aspect to football that I kind of agree a little bit with Gary Neville with what he's saying, is that are we coaching the spontaneity to death here? Like, you don't get, and there's a clear trend that's also happening, which is that the amount of direct free kicks that are scored now is massively dropped off compared to even 15 years ago or something like this.
Yeah.
Although you would expect that the balls are actually better and you can strike them and you can get them over the wall.
But maybe even goalkeepers are a little bit better, right? And I think this is what I think.
Walls are smarter as well, right? You got like
players are probably a bit taller.
The draft excluder, for example, and yes, also more athletic. They jump more, but there's all this tactics about other teams bringing their people into the walls as well.
It's just stats as well, right? Like, and I think another thing is probably just like, I think what they do is they look at stats and say, well, the probability of you scoring, blah, blah. And it's like, this is bullshit, right? Because you know what it is, and I tell you what it is, right? And I don't even blame Odegaard for this. I don't blame him. Like, I'm not having a go at him. He looks at Courtois and he looks at the ball and he's like, we're about, I don't know how many yards out it was, maybe like 27, 20, 30 yards out, maybe, yeah?
Easy 30, yes.
And he looks at Courtois. Courtois is about 6'6", yeah? He's got fucking wingspan like LeBron James. And he looks like a fucking giant in the goal.
His wingspan is bigger than me.
Literally. It's just outrageous. Ridiculous. He looks like a fucking pterodactyl, yeah?
Yes.
And you're sitting there and you're like, it's really unlikely that you're going to beat him from this position. So probably the best thing to do is maybe trying to get closer to goal. And I get that. I understand that. But guess what happens, man? You do what you did and the aura behind that guy ends. And that's why, as we go further in the game, it's why Mourinho feels confident to take it on the swivel and hit that first time. And guess what? This whole Courtois is like, and again, he kept him in the game. Fantastic, amazing. But guess what? He's human. And you can beat him. And Declan Rice showed that. Because
you can beat him. You can beat him two ways. One, you can curl a ball
Wow.
essentially outside of the frame
About
of the
three
screen
yards.
that you're
Yeah.
watching, literally 3 yards. And
It's Iron Robin-esque, man. That's what I felt like. I don't know
oh
if you
no,
thought about
like
Roberto Carlos.
even Roberto, yeah, exactly. Roberto
Yeah,
Carlos's like banana kick, like how he
yeah.
managed to make it just
I say
curve in
kind of
under
like Iron
himself.
Robin, but just because like I grew up on the Robin curling image. Roberto Carlos is like probably just about
As in,
a
I remember that goal though.
I remember the goal.
Just,
Yeah, I remember the goal, but
just
that was just
exactly.
fucking
Yes,
out. It's just outrageous, isn't it?
outrageous.
I'm
And
talking more from like
he
a,
was trying to do that for the rest of his career, and he never managed to do it
and he
again.
never did it. Yeah, I'm talking
Um,
more like consistently. Robin would constantly set things outside the post, and it would drop in because he's
and
just so
he's
good,
able to
right?
whip it back in. And so
Yeah,
there was criticism for Courtois, and I was reading Rob Green did a bit of an analysis of, well, is how much can you blame Courtois for the wall? There's all
yeah.
this thing of,
I think the wall is more of the issue for me.
and so this is the thing. Rob Green basically said, okay, the only way that you could stop that is as a goalkeeper, if you're gonna try and stop that shot from happening, is that you position the wall, you put one more player in, and you
Yeah,
shift it 3 yards.
yeah,
But he
yeah, yeah.
goes, literally, Rob Green said that is a farce. He goes,
Yeah, no one's doing that. No one's doing that, bro.
no goalkeeper in their right mind would do it because you're like,
No one's doing
sorry,
that.
you're gonna. Are you actually going to be able to? How many players are going to be able to curl the ball around that wall
Exactly.
at the risk
And
of
in.
then and in at
Yeah.
an extent of a goalkeeper who is 6'7", who has a wingspan of essentially the same size as himself,
And you don't
and he
get near
still
it.
can't even get it. He doesn't get anywhere near it. So
He's
there's
not near it.
no
You can't do
exactly,
it when
and
when you set the ball out that wide and it comes in and it basically goes to the point. This is the thing about that free kick. It's exceptional technical quality, right? And the ball striking is phenomenal. And you know, again,
which we all know that he had in his
yeah.
locker.
And this is the
He
thing.
said it
Maybe
himself. I've had
he's
it in my
that's it.
locker.
We know
It's
this.
a new skill to it's a new thing to add to my
Yeah.
skills this
But
season.
we know this, right? But we know this. Like we've seen it, and
We've all
I've
seen
said
it,
it, and
yeah.
we've testified to it. Like this guy should be taking free kicks. You can see his ball
100%.
striking. You can see what you can do, right? The only way that doesn't go in, and this is the reason why it's such a phenomenal free kick. Because I think if you're 2 yards further back or you're 2 yards further forward, it doesn't go in because you don't get it perfect where it whips around and it goes just in
You just don't have the
into that
space, right?
post.
You don't have the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
and the amount of power that you
Or
put
you
on the
whip it,
ball.
or you whip
Exactly.
it too much and it goes more
Yeah.
central. Courtois saves it, or you whip it, or you can't get it round enough and it goes wide, or it hits the post. It was perfect, perfect, right?
And again, I think that is what I love about that exchange, and that it was Odegaard who said to, and Nicholas Jurgen was also saying it on the sidelines, cross it, and Declan Rice had the
Confidence, man.
confidence and just the clarity of mind, right, to turn around and say, hey, you know what, this doesn't look right. I don't think I should do
Yeah,
that. And then Saka, being the A-grade guy that he goes, if you feel it,
take it, man.
do it, man. Just do it.
That's it.
And
Take it.
he did. And what a moment.
This is who Declan Rice is as a footballer and as a person and as a leader. He sits there and thinks, "Cool, it's 0-0 and we've been dominating, but we haven't got what we need. Guess what? I'm gonna make sure we get what we need, and I'm taking this game by the
I'm
scruff of
taking
the neck,
charge.
and
Yeah.
I'm taking charge, and I'm making sure, and that is what elite, world class, best in the world footballers do in it, and that is
And
how
if
I've
you and if
always
you
felt
think
about him.
and if you think about right, if you think about our best teams had players like Vieira who would, but you know
Do
what?
that
I'm gonna run the show now. This is it.
literally.
I've had
Literally.
enough.
Chelsea, Everton, Liverpool.
I'm
Sorry,
winning this
mate. I'm
game.
getting bang, 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 goal. Like
That's it.
I'm annoyed now. Like I'm not gonna score. I'm not gonna score the fucking third goal in a 4-0 win, and I'm not
No.
gonna score the fifth goal in a 5-0 dropping. No, it's 0-0. It's 1-1. Give me the ball. Bang, bang,
You need me
goal.
to make a driving run. I need to get away from 3, 4 players. I want to make that tackle. I'm going to win that free kick or whatever. I'm going to make that pass. And
Yeah,
that's what Declan Rice did, man. And I
that's it.
think,
Yeah.
and that's what makes us, I think, a level of Arsenal that you and I haven't had the opportunity to experience for a long, no one has the opportunity to experience for a long time, which is we have these sorts of players that can, you know, that is what £100 million gets you. That is
Yeah.
world-class footballer.
Yeah.
And it's only getting better. And
Yeah.
I think, yeah, you know, we had a couple more versions. Of, I don't know. I mean, that's a different conversation.
Well,
But
we'll see. Yeah,
we're
hopefully
gonna
a later
then
date.
be. It feels like we could be more routinely in these games.
Yeah,
That
I mean, will we?
these
I mean, will
these
be.
shouldn't feel one-offs anymore,
And they
you
won't
know.
be. And this is the thing.
But
This is the thing. And I'm sure we'll talk about this in a second after we discuss like kind of like the end of the game. But we'll have more of these, and they'll feel less. This was great, and they'll feel it's fantastic and it's amazing, but they'll feel less
the
and
novel the
less.
novelty will be, yeah,
Yeah,
it sort of wears off.
and then it won't be quarterfinals that we're getting gassed about. It'll be semifinals, and then it won't be semifinals we're gassed about.
Finals.
It'll be finals. You know, so that's what it is. So again, moving on, kind of soon after,
Just one thing I will
lease of
say,
life, right?
the atmosphere then,
Yeah,
oh my God, bro.
that's it.
Like,
Yeah,
so Pete
raise the
and
level, right?
Ben, we were laughing and we were like, we haven't scored a free kick since September 2021, Odegaard. So we were literally like being able to,
Kitty.
we were just saying prior to him actually taking the free kick, we were
Oh,
just
okay, okay.
like, it was like an incantation that we were reciting because everybody knew the statistic and we were like, and it's probably, and then we were like, at least Rice is going to take it. And then he scored and you just didn't know what to do with yourself. Like you just couldn't believe,
Mm,
and that all of a sudden it's not intense anymore. It's
yeah,
now everybody's here, and we're
yeah.
like, okay, now we've got to go for this.
It's a massive boost, right? It's an adrenaline
Unreal.
pump. Like it's like a man. We were kind
And
of
just
getting a bit tired. Bang,
exactly, yeah, yeah. You
shot of
needed it.
adrenaline.
So in that moment, in sort of the what was it, 53rd,
53rd, yeah.
53rd, 57, something like this, and then that next moment afterwards, 12 minutes later.
Yeah.
Saka, talk us through it, man. Yeah, talk us through it.
No, but
Like, yeah.
I was gonna say, but actually before that, what I want to mention
Well,
is
we had the
actually
chances. We
we had
had
no
chances,
chances,
right?
right?
Yeah,
So
we had
then
a lot of chances.
I'm sitting there with my foot up in a hotel room in Houston,
Okay, so you
and
made it to the.
I'm
Okay, so you made it to the
oh
hotel
yeah,
now.
I was in the Uber. By the time the second half started, I was in the hotel, so this was great. I was just
Yeah.
watching it on my
Okay.
iPad, so it was great. So I was there, and you know, we get the ball, Miles, amazing. Goes past a couple of players because he's absolutely fantastic. Martinelli, perfect, lovely head down shot on target. Courtois makes a save. It goes out to Marino. Marino shoots off the fucking line by Alaba. Then he gets another rebound, and then Courtois hits it over. And you're sitting there like, oh man, like we've really got these guys on the ropes, man. And it's just like it's so nice to see us do that because I feel like we haven't done that this season. So many times this season we've gone 1-0 up and we've not got that second goal. And all you're thinking there is, oh, come on, man, like we need to get this second goal, you know? And then I think I'm not
And Marino's
sure if this
striking it
happened.
clean as well, by the way.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he
he's
is
you know
always.
what? I'll be making a formal apology to him at the end of this, so don't
You
worry,
got you had the
yeah.
biggest one to make, man. You got such
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
massive
Not yet.
apology.
I mean, not
Yeah.
yet. Fucking hell, we'll see in it. Yeah,
I'm not going to give him that much of an apology, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just
I'll
giving
say
him
you're
just a little
playing
one.
well, and to be fair, I didn't criticize you as a striker, my friend. I criticized you as a midfielder.
No, as a
Thank you very
midfielder, you
much.
did.
Yeah,
But
I thought you were playing well as a striker.
now he's playing in this
Both of them, yeah. But
pseudo
anyway,
striker
moving
slash eight
forward
role.
to that, we
Yeah.
had a. I'm not sure. Again, you might correct me, and I'm not sure if you know or not. We had another chance where Rice had one off the line by Bellingham. Was that also at 1-0?
No, it wasn't. In fact, that was at 0-0.
Was it? Are you sure? I thought that was at. I thought that was
Bellingham.
at
Sorry,
1-0.
Bellingham. Yes, yes, yes.
That was
Was
at
that in
1-0 still,
between?
right? Or
I
2-0?
think that was at 1-0. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was at
Yeah, a bit of
1-0.
a
It was at
blur.
1-0, right?
Yeah.
So we had two basically off the line essentially at 1-0, and you're sitting there like, again, I feel like the crowd then, the adrenaline you had kind of comes down a bit because you're like, fuck, we need to get this goal, right? And we're just not being able to get it, and they're holding on for life, and the Real Madrid kind of aura. You're like, are they really going to scam a result here when they've not been in it? And then obviously,
We've seen that too many times with Arsenal as well in the past, right? Like,
yeah, yeah,
games against, United and stuff in the Champions League semi-final and things where we were far and away the better
dominating,
team, dominating,
yeah,
and then
and
they get a
they score bang
goal on the
bang,
break and that's it. And you're just like,
and
now
you're
it's
like,
going to
fuck,
happen
man.
again.
But then,
Exactly.
like you said, Saka gets the ball again, says, Alaba, mate, your food, thank you. Bellingham, mate, your food, thank you. Camavinga, you can't get near me, mate. Chop me down. I'll have
Also
another free
food.
kick, thank you. Literally, you're just barbecue chicken to me, bro. Like, I'm just gonna,
That's it,
thank you very
man.
much, bro. And gone, like, free kick again. And I mean, this one, so, Sim
Do
was
you have
sitting
a
next to me
favourite?
in the hotel. A favorite of, which one do you mean?
Out of the free kicks.
Oh, mate, second one is fucking ridiculous. Second one is absolutely. Sim said to me, so she's sitting next to me in the hotel room, right? And obviously, when it happens, it's just like wow, like She was like, I've never ever seen you look so gagged in my life. Like your jaw was on the fucking floor. I, I, I was just like, there's no
Uh,
flipping way he's done that. Like, I must be dreaming. Like, I was like, am I still on the plane? I'm like, am I still on the plane? Am I just falling asleep on the plane right now? Like, because the way he cracks that, yeah, because he lines up right. The way he's lining up, I'm like, it felt a bit like, yeah, man, he's feeling it. You can feel it. Like it's like in I liken it to like fucking Pokemon. You know when Pikachu's there and you can see the electricity just like in his
oh,
cheeks and
okay.
he's getting ready,
Yeah,
he's
it's
charging.
charging,
And I
getting
feel like
gassed
it's
up.
just like
Yeah.
you can see that he's just sitting there and he's just focused. And in my mind, I just feel like I can see this electricity just kind of simmering in him,
He's in the zone.
literally. And we've
Yeah.
all been there when we're playing football. When you're feeling it,
When you're in
you're
the zone,
feeling it, man.
that's
And
it.
like
And you know
we've
that
all played with
anything you do now,
yeah, it's
it's
gonna
gonna happen.
happen. And
Gonna
I think
happen.
we've all cracked the Champions League ball before, right? You know, like the way that ball can move when you hit it. It's different to the Premier League ball. I don't know if anyone's
Yeah,
played
very
for everyone who's played with like both pro balls, like at pause. I have played with both pro football balls, yeah.
different.
Pause. Um, is a difference in the padding of the Champions League ball. It's slightly different, and when you hit it, the way you can caress it is slightly different to the Premier League ball, and you could tell, wow, like it's like, you know, a lot of people call it different things. I call it postage stamp. Some people call it cobweb cleaner. You know, so it was
Bins,
phenomenal. Yeah,
you
drop
know,
bins. It
drop
was
bins.
absolutely one of the best free kicks I've ever seen in my life. You know, it was just phenomenal, man. What
So
was your perspective from what was your perspective from the pit from the sorry from the stadium? How did you see it?
I felt like in that moment as you were stepping up, I felt like it was not an outer body experience, but it felt like I was alone with my thoughts for the first time in a while during the
Yeah,
game because it was that
yeah,
period, right? And it's sort of, oh, we haven't got the goal and whatever. So I'm sort of internalizing where we're at and what we haven't done. And then he steps up, and I was like, I literally laughed to myself, and I said, imagine if he scored again,
yeah,
and then he cracked it. And so I wish someone could tell me what also my reaction was,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. It's so surreal,
but
right? It's so surreal. You just don't know. You forget.
I I honestly thought this is a joke. I'm dead, and this is like
Heaven. This is heaven.
because the way we celebrated, like it was like a mosh pit, and this is
Yeah,
in
yeah.
row 30, block 1-1. You know,
Yeah,
like
you're literally like you fall, mate. You're flying. You're falling on the pitch.
that's what I'm saying, man. So like, and it's bedlam. Like
Yeah,
there are grown ass men jumping all over each other.
yeah,
I've lost my keys, bro. I have not found my
yeah,
keys again. They are gone. I emailed the stadium because I knew the moment that, and I didn't realize until obviously I was trying to open the door, and
Get
eventually
home.
when
Yeah,
I
where my
ended up
keys?
getting
Yeah,
home, I've lost my keys. But I know it was in that moment that I lost them because
yeah,
I swear down, I was at some point felt like I was crowd surfing,
yeah, yeah.
and you're
Literally.
just and no one could believe it. We're just looking at each other, and then from that point onwards, there's a level of gas I have not. I haven't been. I've never been that
Experienced it at the
gassed.
Emirates. Yeah, yeah,
No, and just laughing. I was laughing at the situation. I was like, I cannot believe this has happened. And then every
yeah.
single person is just looking at each other like, what are we
What have we
seeing?
just seen? Yeah,
What have we just seen? And then obviously you look on the big screens because so from the angle that we have it, like on
yeah, yeah.
in your season ticket,
It's
right?
it's like that. It's that way, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's
So
across from you. It's
we're
across from you.
really
Yeah.
no, as in so you see, yeah, exactly. It's sort of because that one was slightly more to the left, but
Oh,
you
sorry. I
can't.
thought you meant I thought you meant on the screen. Sorry, I think you meant on the screen. My
Yeah,
bad.
sorry, it's across from me. Yes,
Yeah.
the big screen is obviously
Because
across
whenever
from
you look
us.
at the replay, it's like everyone has to go.
Yeah,
You
everybody.
know?
So no one who's been watching this, both Aaron and I have just leaned forward into the respective cameras in
Yeah,
order to
yeah,
show how where we have to crane our necks in order to be able to
yeah,
watch the
yeah,
replay. And the ball, he couldn't have hit it better. Like
yeah.
there's no other way that you can hit that ball and get it into the play into the area that he did,
Without like doing
unless
that.
without connecting with it perfectly, and he
Yeah,
actually did it. And
yeah.
the fact is that if the goal wasn't there, it was still rising.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah.
so it just, again, right place, right time. Someone who believed in himself and took the responsibility to say, you know what, I'm gonna hit this.
Yeah, it's like we need
Um,
another goal. We should have another goal. Guess what? I'm gonna get us another goal because we need that
oh
shit,
my
you
God,
know? And
exactly, and
like,
he did it.
but the one thing, obviously, I'm sure we honestly, like, I think I'm sure they've made TikToks of the goal and Insta reels and loops and shit like that. Probably
Mm.
one of the most watched videos in the world ever right now. Because honestly, I've watched it like 150,000 times. Like I'm just bang,
Same.
bang, bang, bang. Because I keep watching it to see like what was that guy's reaction? What was this guy's reaction? Oh, let me watch the goal again because I want to see the
But
goal again.
but
Like,
this is the point, right?
oh,
We're fans, right? We're fans, and we're
yeah.
there, and we couldn't believe what we're seeing. You got Martin Odegaard knowing that he's never going to take another free kick again in his life, with his hands on his head in
Literally.
disbelief that the first one he did was unreal. The second, I think the first one. So, do I have a favorite? I feel I can understand absolutely why. Number two is a quintessential thunder bastard perfect free kick. Like
Mm.
in your dreams, what's the sort of free kick you imagine yourself scoring at the Emirates or at Wembley or whatever in the World Cup final? It's a free kick like that. So
It's
it
just thinking
reminds
like
me a
that.
little bit
Yeah.
of it reminds me of the free kick that Santi Cazorla scored in the FA Cup
Yeah,
final.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
remember?
Against Hull. Yeah. Oh man,
Against
do I
Hull.
remember?
It
Fucking
had similar
broke
vibes.
my hand celebrating that.
I love that for you. But the first one, it's just the technique is nuts. Like
Yeah,
again, it's
yeah,
just you don't conceive, you don't think about doing that. Most normal
yeah.
human beings,
It's
you know what I mean? But
it's
just
do you know what's so funny? Do you know what's funny about both? Do you know what's funny just about both free kicks? By the way, I'm just thinking this now. Is
yeah,
that he just looked at both walls and was like, "Yeah, you don't have to be here, like, because it doesn't matter where you're standing. I'm just curling around you. Like, I'm not going over you. You can jump as high as you like. Like the second free kick cracks me up so much, right? Because Bellingham and Rudiger, they jump so high, and they just go, and they just watch it go to the side of
in
them.
the opposite direction. He's gone on the
Literally,
goalie side. He's gone. So you could have
Courtois over to
two.
that side.
Literally, he's that side. He's
Yeah,
that side. You could have
you can
two
have two
Courtois
Courtois.
there,
Literally.
and he would never have saved
You
it.
could have lined up all of Real Madrid's first team in that goal, and you're not saving it. You're not saving it, bro. Like you're not stopping it in because he's put it in a position with the pace he's put it in the corner that he's put it in.
With the
It's just
power that he's got on
insane,
it,
man. It's just insane.
yeah, it's
Like
insane.
it's like we're acting like he did it against fucking Keylor Navas, mate. Like
Yeah,
this is Courtois, man. This
no,
is
it's
six
best
foot
goalkeeper in the
six.
world at the moment.
Yeah, and like over to that side, he doesn't get anywhere near it again. He doesn't get anywhere near it. He literally looks at it and you just think like, man,
And
you've just
objectively, he's
taken the
already
piss,
kept him in the
bro.
game. He's
Yeah.
kept him in the game. Like,
And how demoralizing is that for him to be like, this guy has now shat on me twice. Like he's now basically he said to me
the
twice,
view,
like,
the camera view of his
yeah,
face when he's turned to look to get the ball out of the goal,
yeah,
it just is just sheer
literally,
dejection. Like,
it's dejection. He's just like,
yeah.
I've never experienced being destroyed like this before.
Pause.
I literally don't ever remember any player doing that to Courtois twice in a game. Like he's such a phenomenal goalkeeper to the point where going back to the semi-final against Man City where they could have that elite comeback, right? When they somehow he's the reason pretty much for it because man, there was a couple of chances Grealish had where you're like, how have you saved that Courtois, bro? Like, how have you done this, right? And even then in that game, you just felt the mask slipping a bit in terms of what we felt he was because Declan Rice basically just said,
And I think our perspective of Real Madrid, right? Like, all of a
yeah.
sudden we're like, hang on,
Because they've not been good though, right? Like we know this,
they
right?
haven't.
We've watched them the all season. I watched them against Barcelona this season get torn apart. They've been beaten a few times. They were conceded goals against Sociedad. So, irrespective of that, we're talking about two scenarios in that game which are nothing to do with the general play of the football team. Do you get what I mean? Do you
Yeah,
understand
yeah,
what I'm
they
trying to say?
almost
Like,
felt like isolated
yeah, yeah.
moments. But
This is
and
not yeah.
again,
This is like cricket. It's like cricket, for example. Like you mentioned cricket,
yeah, it's
right?
not like it,
It's
yeah,
like a bowler and a batsman, right?
yeah.
It's like Declan Rice is the bowler and Courtois is the batsman, and he's basically middle stumped him. Basically, he's just You can't stop it. You thought you were gonna defend it. You thought you were gonna get your bat in the way, and it's gone straight through your bat, and bang, you're taking out your middle stump, and you're looking there, and you're looking at him, and you just realize in that moment, yeah, I'm done, mate. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah, and there's
It's
nothing I could have done to be able to
done.
stop it, right? You just
Yeah,
it's a perfect ball, and then so and I think that's what makes that entire moment special. And sorry, what both moments, every goal was special.
yeah,
But in order to win these competitions, you need these moments
yeah,
because you there's only so much you can coach and there's only so much you can manufacture. At
yeah,
the end
yeah.
of the day, you need that level of world class, uh, just
Difference making, right? Like it's just
difference
difference
making.
making.
Exactly. That's the
It's
right
just
word.
that's
Exactly.
what it is.
Yeah.
It's just difference making. It's
Yeah.
just basically
Yeah.
saying like, tactically we're both great. Players wise we're fantastic. 50-50s we're going to compete. But when it comes to those moments, you just look around and you think, I can't do anything. Like you look back at Real Madrid and I guarantee you, all they can probably say is maybe we shouldn't have fouled Saka there, but like what can we do? At the point where Rice has bent those free kicks in, you sit there and you think, well, like what can we do, man? This guy has
Yeah.
put it in these places and he's just been phenomenal. That's it. Sometimes you have to, and I'm sure they've done this, and they did. But this is one thing I respect about Real Madrid is they recognize the quality around them, right? They can sit there and just say, even Mbappe's face, right? You see Mbappe's face after the second goal. He's just like,
So,
fair enough, man. Like what? And that's what you
and,
do.
game respects game, right?
That's it, man.
That's you
When you
realize it.
see quality like that, you just have to hold your hands up and say, "Listen, man, fair enough in it. Like you're having the game of your life, and there's nothing we can do to stop you right now. You're unplayable, And it's not only like I said the set pieces because like moving forward from to kind of the next phase of the game where I think we were fantastic and we did not stop. We get the ball in an area where everyone's feeling it now. Everyone on our team has, because of Declan Rice, because of Bukayo Saka, right? Because of Gabriel Martinelli, because of Marino, and the way they drove the team forward is sitting there and thinking, you know what? We deserve to be here, man. We deserve to be here. We deserve to be ahead, and we should be more ahead, and we're going to play like it. Real Madrid, it doesn't matter because at this point, it's at the 70th minute of the game. The nerves have settled. Everyone's got a touch on the ball. We're ready. They've made multiple substitutions because they're just like, we need to change things. We can't keep going. We're like, we're fine. Team's good.
Yeah,
Raya gets the ball.
You bring on Brahim Diaz and stuff like this
That's
or
it.
whatever, but
And you see it, right? The
yeah,
ball goes to Raya, and I mean, I'm nervous still because I'm like, fuck, we need to can't concede because if it goes 2-1,
it's a
Raya's
different
like,
game all of a sudden.
Raya's like,
Yeah,
don't worry about it, bro. I'm just literally just gonna pass between the lines between their three strikers to party because
which
I'm that good.
it was unreal. That pass,
Yeah,
like again, the stones on the guy. I mean, everybody, and this is a huge pause, but everybody had massive stones that entire game. But
yeah.
Raya, anytime they did kind of, they started getting a bit more with the ball again. They've tried to cross it a few times, and every single time Raya just
Just
collected
grabs
it
it.
with
Yeah, just
just
grabbed it. He's like, listen, no,
ease. No,
he's like, I'm not even gonna let you
I'm going to take
get
the pressure
slightly.
away from any of
That's
this.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
Not
And then he
even going to
gets
give
the
you a
ball,
chance to feel like you're going to be in this game.
plays
Yeah.
it to party. We knock it around a little bit, and I love this goal. Like I love it. Gets the ball, and it's the same thing that we mentioned back in the Man United game when we were sitting there, right? That
Mhm.
awful game in the FA Cup when Rice came on.
It's really
Gets
funny.
the ball to Rice in the left
Just,
half
just,
space.
just to say, this season I've experienced the worst football game I've ever watched, and also
Yeah,
the
literally
greatest
the
football game I've
best.
ever watched. Like
Literally
so much.
in
Yeah.
the space of about 3 months, right? In the same
Yeah. Like
stadium.
whoa.
It gets the ball, and Rice at this point is just, you know, on cloud nine. He's like, listen, mate, I'm going straight past you. Bellingham can't touch me. Camavinga can't touch me. Asensio
Eat
can't
my
touch me.
shorts,
Valverde
Lord.
can't touch me. Literally, well, you're all gonna come here. I'm gonna drop it off to Trossard. Trossard again has a wherewithal to not just blindly cross it into the box. Cuts back, plays it to Miles, and I mean that boy is just phenomenal, man. Like his composure
The
his
whole
composure
stadium is
there.
screaming
A
shoot.
shoot. Yeah, even I'm there like, obviously because after the Man City game and
Everyone's
score,
like, yeah,
I'm
you
like
can do
shoot,
this. You got this in your
and
locker. You do it,
and
man.
he's just like, listen, this is why I'm a professional footballer,
This
and
is
you
why
guys
I'm
are not.
elite and you're not.
You're not because
You're
because
not.
I identify a better pass on. But Marino's fantastic. He's drops in, he's screaming
And the
for it.
ball, actually, if you think about it, the technique is
Oh,
unbelievable for someone who's not a
unbelievable.
striker, because the ball is actually just a little bit behind him, so he
Yeah,
has to angle his body in such a way that he can still generate enough power and then get the curl on it.
That's
to
it.
get it
And this is,
around the defenders and then
yeah.
put it in a corner. Again, that Courtois can get nowhere near. And he does
And
it
this is and
effortlessly,
this
man.
this is when my apology starts, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Loud and proud, my friend. Go
I
for it.
listen, Mikel Marino, I claimed at one time, whether or not it was recorded or not, that you did not have you did not have the hips of a Spanish midfielder, and that your hips did lie. However, I retract that statement because the way you swiveled your hips to hit that ball, listen, man, Shakira would be proud. It was absolutely fantastic. What a finish! I was actually quite scared because once it went in and they showed me the replay, I was like, "Oh fuck, Trossard's offside."
Yes, exactly. I had the similar
Yeah.
feeling as well. I
And
was
then I was,
thinking like,
and then it was replay was showing, and Sim was there, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "I'm really scared. Like I think it's offside. Oh fuck, fuck, fuck." And then
yeah,
it comes back to the picture, and then the game has started, and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's 3-0." Like this is why
okay, it's
VAR
like really,
sucks. Like this is why VAR fucking
yeah.
sucks because I
No,
couldn't really.
it takes away those moments from you, right?
Yeah, I couldn't really like get so
I
gassed
love
until
it.
after. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but obviously, listen, man, 3-0, and I think I think at that point we were quite smart because we were like, you know what, we'll take three. We don't need to go and get
Take
four or
three.
five. We'll
Saka
take three.
gets himself off. Or he did so obviously prior to that anyway, which I think it was the right
And
call.
Rice then came off, which is good.
Right,
Got him a
again,
rest.
good. He's on that yellow card.
Yeah,
You
Timber
want to
as
make sure
well.
Timber as well. You want to make sure that all these guys are available for what will be now a still a very difficult game away in
That's
the
it.
away in Madrid.
Yeah. So how do
How
you
you
feel?
feeling about it though?
How do you feel? Yeah, I was it. How do you? For me, I mean, I So put it this way. I was ecstatic when it happened on the night. Couldn't fall asleep. I'm sure you couldn't either. Was obviously I couldn't. I was in the sleep anyway because I'm just 8 hours behind.
Because you're
Um.
crazy jet lag. Like
Yeah.
I have never
Unreal.
been that buzzing. So
Yeah.
I knew what buzzing meant, but
Yeah.
I actually, that is the true definition of buzzing. Like and I hadn't had, I had
The
had
lot.
one beer the
Yeah.
whole day, right? So
The
it's
last
not
time I
even,
felt like that was. Yeah. So carry on.
no. And so I come home, by the time I get home, it's like 12, 12:30.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Smash a couple of slices of toast because
Yeah.
I'm
You just
ravenous
need to
again
eat
and
something.
whatever. I
Yeah.
just need to
Literally.
eat something.
Yeah.
I need to do something with myself. I watch every single interview then of
Yeah.
every single TV media outlet that was available.
Yeah.
And then eventually I go to bed at 1:15 in the morning
Yeah.
and I did not sleep a
Yeah.
wink because I
Yeah.
was just so gassed. I was
Yeah.
like, this is, and
So the last time I felt like that.
I've already dealt with the realization that I've lost my keys, and that
Yeah.
it didn't dent
No, no,
a little bit of what
not
I
at
was
all.
feeling. I was just like,
No, not at
this
all.
is if this is the price
There's
I
no
have to
better way.
pay,
There's no better
yeah,
way. There's no better way to
yeah,
lose your keys, man. Come on, right? He's
that's it.
celebrating a Declan Rice fucking thunderbolt into the top corner against Real Madrid in the
Exactly,
Champions League
man.
quarterfinals. What better way is that, mate? Listen, unreal. I was gonna say actually, like, because you obviously experienced that. I'm so happy, like that you had the opportunity to do that in that moment, and now you. Sorry, you
Yeah, I
were
was just
saying?
gonna say the last thing I will say. I've never experienced and seen pure joy on the
Mm.
streets.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just like, people just walking around and just like looking at each other and being like,
Blissful in glee. Yeah,
I don't know,
just
just what have I just seen? Like, I
jolly
don't
as hell,
believe what I've
man.
just seen, and
Yeah,
no one can believe it either. And so it's a school night, but no one had any intention of going home. The
yeah,
pubs,
yeah.
every single pub in the area was
Full.
rammed because you had to
Yeah, full.
go and speak to somebody about it because
Yeah, you have to talk. Yeah, you have to share that experience with someone else because
100%.
just going
Yeah,
home, you just can't. You can't. You have to want to talk to someone. You know, you
yeah,
can't experience that by yourself. Like
no.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, so
So
yeah, sorry, yeah, I kept on cutting you off. Yeah,
the
go.
last time I experienced, the last time I've experienced exactly what you experienced was last year, with obviously our mama and his friend at the Porto game. So after the
Oh yeah, of
penalties.
course, that's an
So
insane
that's
night.
how I felt after that game because obviously like this is our first Champions League knockout tie in ages. We'd always gone out. The last 8 times or 7 times we've been in the knockouts, we've gone out. It was fucking intense. It was a penalty shootout.
Intense.
The game ended at about 11:30. I mean, I got out of the stadium and I had work the next day, mate. I had work at 8. I had work at 8:15 the next day. I didn't get home till about 2 a.m. and I didn't go to sleep till about 3:30 because I was just so gassed listening to all the interviews and I was just so happy, right? That's how I felt. And I just know how you feel because you get up the next morning and you're knackered, but you just don't care because you're like, you know what? It's so worth it. Like it's just so worth it. And obviously for me, I was just ecstatic, man. But just moving kind of to what you said of how do I feel about the game on next week is I think I was really, really happy on the day. really, really happy the next day. And then what day is it today? Today's now Friday.
Friday.
So
Now you're in business
yesterday,
mode.
right? Well,
Yeah.
no, thing was, it was yesterday actually. It was yesterday. I got to the point where I was watching a lot of this content, and I was kind of like, okay, listen, guys, like, be happy. It's great, but and I said this after we did it because this is how I feel anyway. Because maybe people say I'm just a bit miserable, but listen, the job's not done, man. And the players have shared that sentiment. They
I'm
shared
so
that
glad
sentiment.
every
They
single one of
kept.
them said it.
Listen,
Every
it's
single one
half
of them said
time.
it.
It's
It's
fucking
half
half time, bro. It's not 7-1 against PSV, right? This is 3-0 against Real Madrid, and very easily 3-0 could turn into 2-0 down, and then you're fucked, mate. You know, so this is very easy. As easy as I always say to you, as easy as we can score 3 goals, another team can score 3 goals. Obviously, the stat behind us not conceding more than 2 goals in the last 77 games that we played is amazing, great. But those kind of stats to me, they just don't matter really, because at any moment that can change, right?
It's context, right?
Yeah, it's context. It's just so for me, I feel like I'm really happy. I feel like we deserve to win. I think that's the most important thing. I think we played fantastically, and I do think that the players are. They're not. It's not like last year, man. They are happy, but they understand that they deserve to be there. They expected to win. They did win, and they know that there's a job to be done because you're going to go to the Bernabeu, which is a absolutely very, very difficult stadium to go to. They're going to be up for it. They're the reigning champions. They're not just going to go out with a whimper. It's not happening. It's not happening. They're not going to.
And the fans won't let them do that, right?
They're not going to do that.
And
Exactly.
any self-respecting footballer, right? And also, they ain't
You're
gonna go to.
pissed. You're
Yeah, of
pissed,
course
mate. Like
you should be.
they're looking. They're looking
They're looking
at
at our
all the
social
shit
media
online.
content. Well, yeah, exactly. Where we're just
And they're like,
dunking on
cool,
bottles
these
and
lot are having the best day of their lives because they beat us in one game for the first time in like fucking 19 years they played us, right? And they're going all over the shop, yeah, and they don't know who we are. So they're sitting there just as
putting
motivated.
videos of Miles Lewis Skelly nutmegging Camavinga
That's
and
it.
then nutmegging Valverde as well.
Literally.
Right,
So they're like they're getting vexed and they're getting pissed off. So the players need to understand you're gonna go there, gotta be professional, gotta win it. I'm nervous. I'm fucking nervous. I'm gonna be so nervous when that game starts. It's probably gonna be a horrendous 95 minutes plus, and it's gonna be like whenever we go to fucking Old Trafford, and I just hate every fucking second of it. Oh, and I don't have the privilege of being on holiday to watch it, so I will be hopefully back by then. So yeah, I just want to get through, man. I just want to get through, and I just want to get to our semi-final for the first time since 2008. You know, and then if we can do that, and the thing and how I feel is, and I'm sure we felt this about the season, and we kind of mentioned it about the Fulham game. Kind of felt like a new season, right? A little bit, because I felt like we didn't have much to play for, even though we were in the Champions League. We had a lot of injuries. I was sitting there like, Real Madrid, it's going to be a bit tough, right? And you feel like the season's kind of ended, right? You're like, I know it sounds really defeated to say that, and it's stupid, but I'm sure a lot of fans feel the same way. Let's just get to the summer transfer window. Yeah, let's get to the transfer window. We'll get players back, and then let's go again next season. That's what I felt. I felt a bit like, okay, but now the hope that you have of possibly
the
doing something.
The season didn't just end up being for nothing.
Oh, mate,
you know what
like
I mean?
the hope that you have of something historic that could happen to this football club. And I don't think anyone who doesn't watch football and anyone who hasn't experienced their team finally winning a European trophy. So a lot of Liverpool fans won't know this, especially not like as in this age, our age Liverpool fans, because you were European champions well before you were born, and you've done it multiple times, right? Man United fans probably do get it a bit more
remember,
because
yeah,
in 2008 was like before the night was 1999. A lot of them again very young, but that kind of felt like their first experience of it. I'm sure Man City fans had that experience. How if they do exist or if they're just AI bots, who knows? And Chelsea fans understandably understand that, from the Drogba. And it's funny because I'm going to mention one thing, and I'm going to get absolutely scolded for this, right? When they beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League, as much as I really dislike Chelsea Football Club, there's just a part of me that just can't help but just be happy for the fans. You know what I mean? I know it sounds really disgusting to say, but the point you made of
I feel like you need to go and wash your mouth out.
I do need to wash it a little bit, man. But you just can't help it, man. You just can't help it. Like you said,
dude,
fans. I know. But like you said, when fans
take over things,
when fans are happy for you, like you said, right?
Say.
Yeah, you said like fans were happy for you who weren't even fans of your club.
Yes, precisely.
It was envy. It was envy because I was like, man, I want that for us, man. Yeah. To the point where I'm like, I want it so badly for us because I can see how much it means to these guys. And it's like, you know what? You just have to be, because obviously, listen, not every Chelsea fan is an awful human being, Some of them are just quite terrible human beings. So you have
They're
to,
just
yeah,
misguided
yeah,
and they
that's
don't
it,
they
yeah.
don't understand,
So,
right?
so to all the Chelsea fans who I know who are good, good friends of mine, actually, those are the kind of people I felt happy for, man, because I know what it means, or actually don't know what it means actually because I've never experienced it,
But
but
I know that I want to have that
I have
experience as well.
empathy. I
And
have empathy for the fact that,
yeah,
like, wow, man, when that day comes, and God rest my dad's soul, man, in heaven, because he didn't get to experience that. He didn't get to experience that. I'm sure he will be experiencing it when it happens. But there's a lot of fans out there, me included, who felt like at times I don't think we'll ever do this, right? So to have the even glimmer of hope that you're part of a football club that may give you that experience one day. And again, Real Madrid fans won't know this. You won it fucking 15 times, bro. Like, you don't get it. Yeah, you don't get it. It just means everything. Like, it's really funny. I was talking to my wife about this, right? And people always ask this question is like, oh, what's the happiest day of your life? And everyone expects people to say like, oh, the birth of my child, or like, like
my
or
wedding.
marriage, or this, yeah, or marriage. Listen, it's always going to be if Arsenal win the Champions League. And people don't understand what I mean by that. It's because things like the birth of your child, things like your wedding, things like your marriage, your relationship, those have only ever been good things, right? You've only ever had joy from hopefully the start and the beginning of it, and it was only ever going to be a great thing, right? The thing with an Arsenal Champions League win is it's born from suffering and pain and
So
stress and
much pain.
heartbreak
So
for
much
so
pain.
long to the point where
Yeah.
if it happens, it's this culmination moment of all of that shit and all of that hurt was worth it. It was worth it because we have now reached the pinnacle of the sport and we have our moment in history. And that's why it's different. So the
And no one
happiness
can,
you feel
and
from
no one
that,
can take that
and
away
no one
from
can
you,
take it
right?
away from you, right?
No
Exactly.
one can take
So,
it
so
away
like with the
from you.
birth of your child, and I think, again, of course, in its own right, those are the best moments of your life. But it's completely different to when a fan of a team succeed like that because you feel like you're on a journey with those people, right? And when
Yeah.
you reach that moment, a moment you never thought you would have, because there's a very real realization for a lot of people who support football clubs and sports teams that you may never have those moments, right? And again,
Yeah,
I said
exactly.
it's very true. Not to downplay. Listen, there's a lot of people out there who may never have kids, and obviously they get married. I get it, 100%. I don't mean it that way. I just mean there's a bit more of like an inevitability about those things because you can kind of do that.
Hmm.
There's no guarantee that we're gonna experience that. Even now, it's only a fucking quarterfinal, mate. Yeah, it could go awfully next week. God forbid, we could go out in the same finals. And we might have this conversation again. But the glimmer, the point I'm trying to make is that the hope that it gives you to watch your team do that is something that listen, someone needs to fucking take it out of someone's body, bottle it up, and sell that, mate. Because there's a level of endorphins that you can't explain when it comes
And
to
that
that.
and that's it. And that's what I was saying to my wife as well. She was like, "You're so happy," and I was like, "You know what? Because no one can take that moment away from me. Like what I've
No,
just seen and what I've just experienced is arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest thing I've ever witnessed.
that's it.
Because again, it's a level of euphoria, and you just then exactly you spoke to it so eloquently, which is that the pain that you go through and that you fundamentally choose and put yourself through
Through.
to then experience a real high and to know that they're so fleeting.
Mm,
Um, and in some instances, I don't know that I will ever maybe experience quite something like that again either,
mm.
because the context, I don't think the context can be fully repeated.
It's true. Yeah.
Now, I've everybody I've spoken to since has said to me, and they're like, oh well, you still got to go do the job in Madrid, and I was like, yeah, well, definitely we do. Um, and they were like, oh, it could end up being and feeling like a bit like Barcelona, with Jeff Wilshere had the game of his life and
Mm, mm,
and
mm,
and everything like that, and then we were sort of a bit cheated and a bit robbed in that game, and then we ended up losing
mm,
that tie. And so,
mm,
where does that live in the annals of history?
mm.
It was a great night at the Emirates, but that was about it.
But that's it. That's it. You don't constantly go on about it because we don't have much European history, right? So
But that's true. But I think for I can understand why people still look back at that moment because for anybody who was there
yeah,
and was able to experience that feeling,
yeah,
and even if you weren't there, hopefully you just don't forget it. And I know I won't forget it for as long as I
no,
live because it was
yeah,
a truly extraordinary moment. So, although we need to get through, I'm also very glad that PSG did a really good number on Aston Villa in the first leg because one,
I,
Emi Martinez's face was quality.
Oh man, literally any time that guy is upset is a great day for me, man.
My
As much as
wife,
you know what,
he's enemy number one for my wife, and that is really funny because she's only really started watching Arsenal since 2020, and that was
you know
like,
what, I don't even dislike the guy that much. Like in terms of like if you're
oh
watching this,
no,
bro, if you ever see this, I don't even dislike you that much, bro. It's just a case of like you've decided to play the villain, and I'm just gonna decide to play your enemy. Like cool, that's
that's
our
it.
relationship.
That's the
So
role you
every
want to
single
play.
time, yeah. So every
Yeah,
single time something bad happens to you in a football term, I'm gonna laugh, and every single time I'm sure things happen to us, you're gonna laugh. So it is what it is.
yeah, and that's it.
I've
It's
got no
fine.
actual ill. I've got no actual ill feeling towards you as a human being. I think you're a legend. I think you smashed it. I'm so proud of you. I'm really happy for you that you've like turned your career around to the point where you're at the pinnacle of football. Like you deserve it, my friend. You absolutely deserve it. But you chose us as enemies, so it's just gonna that's what we're gonna
And
be
that's
in it,
it.
which
And
is
to be honest,
that's
none
it.
of us had any ill will towards you anyway. But
At all. At all. At
none
all.
of us did. We actually were,
We were so happy for you. We were so happy for you, bro. Like we were
just
so happy
admittedly,
for you.
even quite a few of us were thinking maybe you should have stayed instead
Oh
of
yeah, no, no. Oh, I wanted him to
over
stay. I didn't
Leno.
want him to
Yeah,
leave. I wanted him to stay. Yeah, I
100%.
wanted him to stay.
Yeah.
As in, you know what? But like I said, it was just hilarious watching you get sat on your ass like fucking three
And I
times.
mean,
So
also, by the way, just the quality of goals over the course of this
yeah,
round of
it's good.
the first legs was insane. Lautaro Martinez's goal,
Oh,
outrageous.
amazing.
Like, I mean,
Desiree Doué's
Desmond Doe's goal, ridiculous. Even Kvaratskhelia
ridiculous.
goal was also.
Oh, the ball roll and that. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, but again, just before we go, 'cause I'm getting summoned to lunch
Yeah,
because obviously
I
the
need to
thing.
go and eat this dinner as well, man. It's
But
getting
but
cold.
the one thing I will say, just a quick thing about a lot of Arsenal fans, and again, I don't think it's going to happen anyway because they were like, I think Villa are not gonna go through. If they do, fantastic, I don't care. But if we do get through, people were saying they'd rather play PSG than Villa. Listen, I'm sorry, but that is just outrageous. Villa are
Would
fucking
you?
shit.
I don't know, man. I
Bro,
kind of sit. I sit
we
in
have
that
slapped
camp.
them this season
But
constantly.
there's
You're getting past trauma against these people. We are so much better than them that it
oh
would be
no,
such
we
a
are. But there's been loads of
we will
people that
beat
have been
them.
so much
Nah, we'll
better
beat
than as
them.
well, and we've lost
Nah,
them,
we'll beat them, man.
fans.
Nah, we'll beat them, man. We'll beat
I don't
them,
know,
man.
man.
This
I
season,
think
2-0 away, 2-0 away. We slapped them already, and then we were 2-0 up at home, and we should have put that game to bed, and we should have. And then, listen, I am not afraid of an Aston Villa team that we've played multiple times. We are better than them. I don't give a shit. They're not good defensively.
so.
They're not.
Would you have rather them?
Absolutely, absolutely, man. We will if we get them in the semi-final. That is going to be the easiest fucking semi-final known to man because we're going to take it very seriously. We're going to slap them two sideways differently. We're going to absolutely, we'll probably beat them. In my opinion, we'll beat them away, we'll beat them at home, and we'll walk straight into that final. PSG is a bit different because PSG have attacking quality that you can't account for sometimes. That's the difference. I don't think Aston
No,
Villa
they
have
have
that.
that little again that spontaneity, a bit of that
Yeah,
stardust, and I
yeah.
think
And they're great too. And Luis
and they're
Enrique is a
also so
fantastic
young,
manager.
right? There's no fear, and I
Yeah,
think
no fear. And they're
Luis Enrique is an
relentless.
unreal manager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're relentless in terms of their press, and and again, I don't think that bothers us. It's not a problem, and I think, listen, regardless, yeah, if we get through against Real Madrid, God willing, I'm not worried about anyone. I think we're more than capable of being every team in that competition, right? So, and that's
Well,
testament
I
to the
mean,
way
we're
we
odds
we
on
defend.
favourites now.
Yeah, I mean
So
that's just. But again, I think if you exist in that kind of Arsenal, Barcelona, Inter Milan slash Bayern Munich kind of PSG camp, as a fan, every single fan of each of those teams should feel like they have a very good chance of winning that competition, and that's what it's about. I don't think any team there of those ones mentioned, if they do go through, should feel like any other team is that much better than them. There's different play styles, definitely. I think definitely I mean, again, we'll talk about this hopefully a bit later on after we go through. I think the play styles of, for example, like I think PSG and Arsenal is a bit more kind of similar. So
similar,
it's
yes.
a hard one to call. I think whereas Barcelona and Inter Milan are very much opposite play styles. And we've seen Inter
Yes.
Milan, they're very much a low block kind of
No,
counter-attacking team.
well, I mean, they held us to a 0-0 draw, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Oh,
no, no, it
sorry,
was
no,
one
we
0 They,
lost
they beat
against them.
us.
We lost
Yeah,
against them. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Which is
Which,
bullshit because it's never a fucking penalty. I'm sorry, but
yeah, that's
yeah,
also true.
but
But
yeah,
yeah,
I
anyway,
just
well,
think
we're jumping
anything.
ahead. I think obviously we
Brentford
need to get.
tomorrow, obviously.
We got Brentford tomorrow. I'll be there,
Yeah,
and then we can obviously chat about that game and preview the second leg. And
that's it.
yeah, we're expecting that he's going to make a bunch of changes. Hopefully,
Probably. Yeah, probably.
I would expect him to. I would like him to, similar to how he did it against Everton, to be honest. But we have to be
Yeah, yeah.
we still need to be careful that we don't sleepwalk into third. because
That's
we're
it.
going to sit here
I
dropping
think we'll be all
points.
right. I think
We should be, but
we're about 6, 7 points ahead of Nottingham Forest, or 5 points ahead of them. It's not, and they got a tough run. I think we'll be fine. Like
we
I'm not
should be fine. But again,
yeah.
ideally at home, you want to get a good win, carry the good
Yeah,
momentum from the previous
that's
game,
it.
and that
And I think we
gets
will.
you
I think we
sets
will.
you up.
I think Thomas Frank is quite explained it that it doesn't really matter who Arsenal put out, as we showed against Everton. We're strong regardless, and we'll be fine. I think we'll be all right. But yeah, it'd be nice to just give some guys a rest. But yeah, we'll talk tomorrow.
Oh, what a pod, man!
That's it.
It's been a joy chatting to you.
You too, man.
Enjoy the sun and the coconuts and carbo. I'm going
Appreciate
to
it.
nurse the
Enjoy
rest
the
of
rot
this hangover,
enjoy the roti in North London, man.
and that's how I want to enjoy the roti in North London. A very different experience, but
That's
and
it.
then
Yeah.
I'll chat to you after the Brentford game, my friend. Enjoy.
That's it. We'll chat then, man. Speak soon.
Take it easy, dude.
Bye.